Chapter 2366. Etianyun walked towards him step by step. Now that the number of Heavenly Star Supremes was completely equal, the other party no longer had the advantage in numbers. However, for them, it was basically a disadvantage. Etianyun was really too heaven-defying. He was an early-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy, but he could easily beat a mid-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy. This meant that in a battle between mid-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy, he had a considerable advantage, which was equivalent to the combat power of a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy. Under such circumstances, how could Etianyun's side not have the advantage? It was equivalent to forcefully adding a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy powerhouse. How could they still fight? In a battle that was generally based on cultivation, the addition of Etianyun greatly affected the balance of combat power. Originally, the Purple Flame Clan's 3 Heavenly Star Supremes were heaven-defying enough, and now, another heaven-defying Heavenly Star Supremacy had joined the fray. This time, the scales of victory gradually tilted towards Etianyun's side. Again, Etianyun did not stop and attacked the next mid-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy powerhouse, teaming up with the others to deal with him. Boom! Another Heavenly Star Supremacy was sent flying. After teaming up with the Wu family's Heavenly Star Supremacy, they quickly helped the Purple Flame Clan's former clan leader to send another Heavenly Star Supremacy flying. Following that, Etianyun violently beat his opponent until he had no strength to resist. He had 85 cubes of star power, while his opponent only had 70 cubes of star power. Just the level of star power alone was far superior to his opponent. This did not include the enhancement brought by Crazy Mode, which was simply the effect of absolutely crushing the opponent. Most of the powerhouses summoned by the other party were mid-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy or early-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy. There were only 3 late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy. The Purple Flame Clan's Heavenly Star Supremacy could fight 2 at once, and it was quite easy for him to beat his opponent. Comparing the two, they were not on the same level at all. If not for the suppression of the two, the Purple Flame Clan's clan leader could really easily beat his opponent. If it was easy to suppress them, the Beifeng family and the Leitang family would have already come themselves, and there would be no need to summon the other families. With the addition of 2 more clans, it was undoubtedly equivalent to having 2 portions of the pie. Naturally, the benefits would be even less. But now, even if they gathered the other families to join them, their situation would only get worse. Etianyun was an invincible shit-stirrer. Even if he couldn't beat someone to death, he could still send them flying and help them out. Die! Etianyun punched out again, and a 9-color divine light shot out from his fist. The punch pierced through his opponent's body, and he exploded into a mist of blood. Without waiting for the other party to solidify again, he rushed over and punched a few more times consecutively, completely annihilating the other party. He did not even give the other party a chance to reconstruct his physical body. When another Heavenly Star Supremacy was killed, everyone's hearts instantly trembled. This was too scary. Etianyun's participation had turned the entire situation around. His strength was much stronger than the Wu family's reinforcements. Hence, when he attacked, the effect was quite obvious. Especially in the later stages, the 2 of them could work together to deal with it. This was undoubtedly a lot easier. His degree of violence was equivalent to that of the Purple Flame Clan's clan leader. The Purple Flame Clan's clan leader was indeed very ferocious. He forcefully kept 2 Heavenly Star Supremacies to prevent the Wu family's pressure from increasing. Purple flames constantly flashed all over their bodies. The purple flame armor on their bodies was quite strong, which allowed them to fight for a long time. Even so, before Etianyun joined, they were still holding on. At most, they could hold on for a little longer before they could no longer hold on. No matter what, their opponents were 2 Heavenly Star Supremacies, and there were also powerful supremacies like the North Peak Supremacy. But now, the situation had changed, and the wind had suddenly turned toward them. Damn it! Is this a Heavenly Star Supremacy who just broke through? The North Peak Supremacy and the others were horrified. They felt that they had really provoked someone they shouldn't have. His strength was really too terrifying. If you have the ability, let me fight with you. Thunder Supremacy was extremely angry. His subordinate had been killed, so he was definitely in a bad mood. Do you have the cheek to beat up a junior? The previous clan leader of the Purple Flame clan sneered. If you want to fight, fight with me. At that moment, Itianyun flew over and looked coldly at Thunder Supremacy. All right, then fight with me. Senior, please let me have a go at him. Let me have a taste of these shameless people. Not only did they wrongly accuse me, but they also want to use my name to attack the Purple Flame clan. Itianyun looked coldly at Thunder Supremacy and said, "Let me see how thick your skin is. Is it stronger than your cultivation?" That Purple Flame clan leader paused and nodded in agreement. In any case, he was watching from the side. If anything happened, he could immediately provide support. Thunder Supremacy's eyes were filled with surprise, but there was more killing intent. Very well, I will soon let you know how wise your choice is. Thunder Supremacy leaped up and immediately turned into a black bolt of lightning, rushing toward Itianyun. He was indeed a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy. His speed far surpassed that of a mid-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy. In an instant, he arrived in front of Itianyun. Waving the thunderclap sword in his hand, he pierced towards Itianyun. The power of the Black Thunder was imbued into the thunderclap divine sword, and with a whoosh sound, the dense black thunder flashed endlessly, enveloping the void and locking Itianyun in front of it. In an instant, he had sealed off his escape route. Compared to Fan Yu's technique, it was many times more brilliant. If someone with a slightly lower cultivation came into contact with it, they would probably be electrocuted into charcoal. Itianyun reacted quickly. In an instant, he took out 10 middle-grade Supremacy treasures. Compared to Thunder Supremacy's high-grade Supremacy treasures, they were slightly inferior. However, there were more of them. Kill! Itianyun slashed fiercely and clashed with his opponent. Boom! Both of them were sent flying. Itianyun retreated a little more. Although his opponent had the upper hand, it wasn't too much of a disadvantage. Dense black thunderbolts surged into his body before gradually disappearing. They had only caused a little bit of damage to him. After Itianyun had upgraded his Star Dharma idol, he already had the Thunder attribute. Naturally, he could resist the related attributes. Under such circumstances, it could be said that their eyeballs were about to explode. A early-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy, who had just broken through not too long ago, was actually able to exchange blows with a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy. Furthermore, he didn't lose. This was quite terrifying. If he was given a little more time to cultivate, wouldn't he have even beaten up Thunder Supremacy? Chapter 2367. The Lightning Supremacy believed that even if he couldn't kill Itianyun, he could at least severely injure Itianyun. He had used most of his strength, but the effect wasn't obvious. Instead, he had almost lost his weapon. The power that Itianyun had displayed was too overbearing. He was really fighting against a humanoid dragon. The violent power was almost too much for him to resist. He now understood why the other Sky Star Supremacies had been beaten up. Under such terrifying power, who could fight him head-on? Solid defense, shocking speed, and violent power. This was the power of the 9-colored Emperor Dragon. This is your power? Itianyun's eyes were full of mockery. He even cracked his neck slightly. This power of thunder is really ordinary. It's like giving me a massage. Very good. You have successfully angered me. The Lightning Supremacy's body flickered with dense lightning. A huge lightning bolt appeared behind him, constantly tearing the void. His Star Dharma power was a pitch-black lightning bolt. The Star Dharma power wasn't necessarily a living beast. It could also be an object or something similar to this lightning bolt. After the Star Dharma power entered his body, it rapidly covered the Lightning Supremacy's body with a layer of thunder battle armor. The dense lightning looked very terrifying. Itianyun had really angered him. Even the Purple Flame Tribe Patriarch hadn't been able to make him activate such a powerful power. It wasn't that the Lightning Supremacy didn't want to use it, but he wanted to play it safe. He wanted to exhaust his opponent first before exploding. He especially wanted to see what other trump cards the Purple Flame Tribe had not used. Hence, he wasn't in a hurry to use his full power. He wanted to observe the situation before making a decision. Who would have thought that Eteonyun would suddenly appear out of nowhere and attack all of their forces, killing many Heavenly Star Supreme? This meant that they no longer had an advantage. If this continued, not only would they not be able to win, but they would also have to flee. Even if they had to retreat, they had to kill Eteonyun first. This was a Sky Star supremacy with his own Star Dharma power. He was already so heaven-defying. If he stayed for a while longer, wouldn't he be a huge threat? Thunder's shadow flash. Sovereign Lei's gaze turned cold. He suddenly took a few steps forward, and with a whoosh, he actually disappeared from everyone's line of sight. Actually, it wasn't that he was invisible, but that his speed was too fast, so fast that most people couldn't catch him. When the lightning sovereign truly erupted, it was still rather terrifying. After all, he was a late-stage Heavenly Star supremacy. Furthermore, he was a famous and powerful Heavenly Star supremacy on Hidden Dragon Star. Eteonyun's eyes narrowed, and he clenched his fists. His eyes flickered with colorful divine light, and his body was quickly covered with thick dragon scales. He turned into a half-human, half-dragon, and 9 kinds of divine light enveloped his body. The 9-colored monarch dragon's Dharma idol had completely merged with him to form this battle form. He also had to take it seriously. If he didn't, he might really get beaten up by the lightning sovereign. 9 Dragons' supreme fist. Eteonyun took a heavy step forward, and the void shattered. Then he aimed at the void in front of him and threw a punch. He didn't care if there was anyone in front of him. He just threw a punch. Under the punch, 9 dragons rushed out from his fist. They were all dragons of different attributes, and they rushed forward. This was a super killing move that could only be performed with 80 cubic meters of stellar power. Roar! The dragons roared, and the 9 dragons rushed forward, swallowing the void in front of them. Boom, boom, boom. Amid the earth-shattering noise, a figure was blasted out and revealed himself in front of them. This was the Lightning Sovereign. When he rushed over, he was blasted by the 9 dragons. With such a shocking attack range, there was no way to dodge. However, the Lightning Divine Sword in the Lightning Sovereign's hand slashed forward in a frenzy, cutting the 9 dragons into several pieces. However, the shocking explosion still blasted the Lightning Sovereign back. You want to fight me with just this bit of power? The Lightning Sovereign roared, and the power of thunder on the surface of his body flashed out. His power was greatly increased, and he rushed over. All the way, he ignored all attacks. With this speed, he flashed again and blocked Eteonyun's attack. Eteonyun watched as the other party rushed over. He also didn't expect his move to defeat the Lightning Sovereign. He only pushed it back a little. The real battle had just begun. Swoosh! The black lightning charged towards Eteonyun, and the Lightning Divine Sword slashed down again. The Lightning Sovereign loved close combat. Only in close combat could he feel the thrill of tearing his opponent apart. Moreover, Eteonyun's move was not simple. It was a pure long-range attack, and it couldn't cause much damage. Eteonyun turned his feet, and the power of the wind attribute rolled out, wrapping him up. To be precise, it was the combination of wind and thunder, forming an even more shocking speed. Kill! Eteonyun wasn't timid. He met the attack head-on without fear, and clashed with the other party. After he upgraded his unique Star Dharma form, he obtained the effect of the wind attribute. After stacking with the thunder attribute, there was a shocking improvement. Boom, boom, boom. The two fought crazily, and explosions repeatedly appeared in the void, leaving everyone dumbfounded. They weren't shocked by the Lightning Sovereign's power, but by Eteonyun's speed, which was actually similar to the Lightning Sovereign's. The two's cultivation was so far apart, so how could their combat power and speed be so similar? Even if Eteonyun was weaker than the Lightning Sovereign, it wouldn't be by much. This situation was really shocking. At first, they were worried that Eteonyun would be abused by the Lightning Sovereign. But now, it seemed that nothing happened, and both sides were even. It could be said that Yun was fighting with a late-stage heavenly star supremacy cultivation If this continued, Yun would definitely be defeated. But looking at the situation, it was equivalent to Yun's complete victory. After a period of time, wouldn't Yun be able to thrash the Lightning Sovereign? Especially after his cultivation increased. He would absolutely be able to crush the Lightning Sovereign. Others might be shocked, but how could the Lightning Sovereign not be shocked? He was already using his full strength, but he still couldn't defeat Yun. The other party's strength and speed had similarly increased, especially the speed that he was so proud of. It actually didn't exceed the other party by much. Damn it, I don't believe it. The Lightning Sovereign gritted his teeth and continued clashing with Yun. He didn't believe that Yun could persist for long. Yun was expressionless, but his eyes were filled with ice-cold, killing intent. He didn't think too much. He just wanted to see what the gap was between him and a late-stage heavenly star supremacy. Now, it seemed that he could really clash head-on with them and not lose immediately. Chapter 2368. Yun didn't just want to fight the Thunder Supremacy. He really wanted to destroy the Thunder Supremacy. In the eyes of others, this was impossible. The difference between the two situations was too great. At most, they would think that Yun was upset, and that's why he fought with the Lightning Supreme to vent his dissatisfaction. After all, he had been wrongly accused by someone. No matter what he did, he would not feel good about it. That was why he had fought with the Lightning Supremacy. Correspondingly, Yun could be defeated. Then, he would be in danger. This was a very unwise situation. However, since Yun had already rushed over, there was no point in saying anything. Who knew that Yun's ability would be so shocking? The Thunder Supremacy was a veteran supreme, yet he ended up in a draw. This was enough to show how powerful Yun was. No one expected this situation. It was incredible that an early-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy could fight a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy to a draw. Even if he lost, it was still Yun's victory. How could a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy not win when he was only early-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy? If he's given a little more time, he'll definitely become a hero. A Star Dharma aspect is amazing. It's been so many years since a Heavenly Star Supremacy with a Star Dharma aspect has appeared. That's right. I've seen Heavenly Star Supremacy with a Star Dharma aspect, but a Heavenly Star Supremacy with a Star Dharma aspect might not be able to do it. Possessors of Star Dharma aspects who can successfully break through to the Heavenly Star Supremacy rank are too rare. In the end, it's just too difficult to break through. They were pleasantly surprised when they saw this. They were originally on the same team as Yun. For Yun to have such a performance was definitely a good thing. However, for the North Peak Supremacy and the others, it was not a good thing. If it weren't for the Supremacy blocking them, they would rather put down their pride and gang up on a junior. In their hearts, they had already placed Yun in an extremely dangerous position. If they did not destroy Yun, they would be the ones to be destroyed in the future. Paragon Lightning, kill him. Use everything you've got. The North Peak Paragon and the others gritted their teeth and prayed inwardly. Right now, they couldn't move at will. They were being watched by the other party, so they could only watch from the side. Judging from the current situation, Yun would not encounter any attacks from Sovereign Thunderbolt. Instead, Yun would choose to fight against Sovereign Thunderbolt. This was equivalent to creating an opportunity for them to kill, and they did not want to waste this opportunity. If Yun slipped away and Zijin Long and the others gathered again, their chances of killing Yun would be extremely slim. After all, the Purple Flame Tribe had yet to display their true trump card. All this time, the three patriarchs had been attacking, but the treasures inside the Violet Flame Star had not been taken out. This meant that they did not have much of an advantage. In fact, it could even be said that they had no advantage at all. Under such circumstances, even if they used their full strength, Yun would still have a chance to slip away. Hence, no one wanted to miss this opportunity. This was a very good opportunity to kill Tianyun. Without anyone interfering, Tianyun would be acting foolishly. How could he not seize this opportunity? Others would let Sovereign Thunderbolt use his full strength to attack and kill Tianyun. However, deep down, he also wanted to kill Tianyun. However, even after using his full strength, he was still unable to completely suppress Tianyun. At most, he could defeat Tianyun with a slight advantage. If this continued, he would definitely win. As for killing Tianyun, that would be extremely difficult. If he did not completely suppress his opponent, or if he could find a crucial weakness, it would be difficult to kill him. Tianyun's battle was flawless and did not give him any chance. This made Sovereign Thunderbolt very angry. He was a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy, yet he could not suppress a junior. If his opponent was one of the Purple Flame Tribe's patriarchs, this would not be a problem. However, the person before him was a newly ascended Heavenly Star Supremacy. This made him very angry. I don't believe it. Sovereign Thunderbolt punched his fists together and shouted angrily, "Thunderbolt Battle Roar!" Boom! A terrifying power of lightning burst out from his body, instantly increasing his strength by a notch. Everyone's expression changed when they saw Sovereign Thunderbolt's move. Sovereign Thunderbolt is using his ultimate technique. He is really using it against a junior. Wu Yuanan mocked from his side. He is indeed thick-skinned. I have finally seen it for myself. The North Peak Supremacy and the others had ugly expressions on their faces. However, they did not say anything. As long as they could kill Tianyun, this bit of face was nothing. Originally, this move should have been used during the battle with the Purple Flame Tribe. However, Tianyun had forced him to use it. Sovereign Thunderbolt really did not want to use this move unless it was absolutely necessary. After he used it, his strength would increase tremendously. Apart from increasing his own strength, he could also increase the strength of his companions around him. However, he did not have any companions around him, so he could only increase his own strength. Thunderbolt Impact. Sovereign Thunderbolt roared and charged towards Tianyun frantically. He turned into a huge black lightning bolt that was much stronger than before. This move could be considered Sovereign Thunderbolt's ultimate move. If even this couldn't deal with Tianyun, then there was really no other way. Swoosh! The black lightning bolt tore through the void at a terrifying speed. In the eyes of the crowd, they could only see an afterimage. Most people could not see such a shocking speed clearly. Similarly, Tianyun could only see a black shadow. This speed was really too fast. As expected of a veteran supremacy, his combat strength was shocking. If he was not careful, he would be easily killed. However, he did not panic at all. He had already expected Sovereign Thunderbolt to have a killer move. If he did not even have this ability, then he would have wasted all his years. It's time to go all out. Tianyun spread his hands slightly, and Star Dharma powers continuously appear behind him. These Star Dharma powers were not like the ones he had seen before. Instead, they were extremely powerful supremacy Star Dharma powers. These are the Star Dharma powers that he had obtained from killing the Supremacy Star Dharma powers. After stacking them continuously, they increased his strength. Brahma Leap Star's Dharma powers, stacking. Sand God Star Dharma powers, stacking. 2 Supremacy Star Dharma powers were stacked together. These were all upgraded Star Dharma powers, which meant that he could use the strongest effect of the corresponding level. Brahma Leap Star's Dharma powers effect. Dodge ability increased by 5 times. Astral power increased by 5 times. Sand God Star Dharma powers effect. Powerful Sand Shield. Defense ability increased by 10 times. Astral power increased by 5 times. This crazy stacking meant that Tianyun's dodging ability and defense ability were greatly improved. At the same time, his own 85 cubes of astral power shot up to 95 cubes. Chapter 2369. 2 Supreme Dharma powers stacked on top of each other, greatly increasing Tianyun's combat strength. This didn't include the effects of the other star powers. The effects of the other star powers had already been changed to the divine, star-venerable star powers. However, compared to the supreme star powers, they were much weaker. The effects of a supreme being, level star Dharma idol, were much stronger. For example, the star powers of Supreme Fan, you could increase his dodging ability. If it was the divine star powers of Supreme Star Powers, it would at most increase the effect by 2 times. Now, there was a 5-fold increase in the effect, as well as the addition of 5 star forces. This effect was quite astonishing. If it was the divine star powers, it could only increase his dodging ability. There was no other increase. As his cultivation increased, some of the effects would continue to shrink, and he couldn't maintain the original state of improvement. His level was already there. It was impossible for Tianyin to break through to the heavenly star powers sovereign to increase 3 or 4 star forces, right? This was impossible. Everything had to be improved according to his current cultivation state. If he didn't reach the corresponding level, the effect of improvement would be extremely limited. Deliberately mystifying Dai, the lightning sovereign ignored Tianyin's state and slashed down with his saber, trying to split him in two. His astonishing and terrifying speed, when stacked with the violent power of lightning, the combined power was really much stronger. He didn't believe that Tianyin could be stronger than him. When the saber slashed down, Tianyin's figure suddenly flashed, and he actually dodged the saber. He wasn't hit. However, the dense lightning wasn't that easy to dodge. After barely dodging, the dense lightning kept rolling over. Tianyin didn't even dodge. He quickly flipped his hand, and a long saber fell into it. He slashed down at the lightning sovereign without hesitation. The terrifying saber light was not inferior to the lightning sovereign's in the slightest. Whoosh! The dense lightning struck Tianyin's body heavily, but it only left a charred mark on his surface. Most of the time, he wasn't hurt at all. His powerful defense was really astonishing. Under such a head-on collision, Tianyin's saber had landed on the lightning sovereign's body. Just as it landed on lightning supremacy's body, the lightning on the surface of lightning supremacy's body rapidly surged towards Tianyin through the long saber, wanting to electrocute him into charcoal. Tianyin completely ignored the lightning and slashed down with his saber, wanting to split the lightning sovereign into 2. How is this possible? Sovereign Thunderbolt was taken aback. It was one thing for his attack to be dodged, but to think that Tianyin's attack was actually able to forcefully split apart his body, completely ignoring the power of lightning enveloping his body. Not only could the lightning energy on his body defend against attacks, but could also cause anyone who came into contact with it to suffer an intense backlash. In serious cases, it could even paralyze the opponent. Who would have thought that it had no effect on Tianyin, who continued to slash down? Open! Tianyin roared, and the strength in his hand increased by a few notches, ruthlessly splitting lightning supremacy's body into 2. After lightning supremacy was split into 2, the dense power of lightning rapidly wrapped around his body and began to strengthen the healing effects in an attempt to reconstruct his physical body. Wanting to kill him with a single slash was still relatively difficult. This was a great supremacy, after all. Unless it landed a heavy blow on his soul, it would be rather difficult to kill him with a single slash. Damn it! Why is his defense so strong? His other abilities have also increased. Lightning Supremacy's heart sank, and he quickly retreated to avoid the attack. His heart was filled with panic. At that moment, he had actually felt death. He had never had such a feeling before, but now that he was feeling it, it made him feel a little fearful. Don't even think about escaping. Tianyin's eyes turned cold, and he continued to pursue while his opponent's morale was greatly reduced. I'm not thinking of escaping. I don't believe that you can defeat me. Lightning Supremacy bellowed. As a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy powerhouse, he held great authority in the Lightning family and had always been high and mighty. How could he be so easily scared off by a newly advanced junior? Lightning Supremacy roared and once again clashed with Tianyin. He wanted to use this power to kill Tianyin. However, from the moment he had been struck by Yun, he had been destined to lose. The power of lightning smashed over once again, but when it struck Yun's body, it still didn't cause much damage. The thick layer of sand had blocked the power of lightning. Soon, Yun slashed down again, injuring lightning supremacy once more. Under the consecutive slashes, lightning supremacy was seriously injured, and his speed and strength had decreased significantly. This state undoubtedly announced that lightning supremacy was about to lose. Everyone was shocked by this scene. They had all thought that Yun would lose without a doubt. Who knew that he would suddenly erupt with power that was beyond everyone's expectations? Then, he used the most violent power to suppress lightning supremacy. This wasn't the most frightening thing. The most frightening thing was that under Yun's continuous attacks, lightning supremacy was unable to defend himself and was about to be killed. Not good. Lightning supremacy is in danger. Some supremacies flew over to Yun without hesitation, wanting to help lightning supremacy. However, how could the Purple Flame Tribe give them such a chance? They all intercepted them and blocked their way. Since you can't afford to lose, you shouldn't have agreed before. The Purple Gold Dragon and the others laughed coldly as they intercepted them. No matter how powerful their attacks were, they would be able to intercept them in a short period of time. However, they didn't need to intercept them for too long. With a heavy slash from Yun, lightning supremacy was once again split into two. This caused lightning supremacy's recovery to be extremely slow. Yun took the opportunity to slash forward a few more times, and each slash landed on lightning supremacy's body. Explode. Yun growled. With a loud boom, lightning supremacy completely exploded. He didn't even have time to shout out his last words before he turned into dust. Ding! Successfully killed lightning supremacy. Obtained 30 billion star energy points and 6,000 kill points. Obtained lightning starry aspect, level 6. Lightning bloodline, lightning godstone, rare. Under his powerful attacks, he finally managed to kill the lightning supremacy. I finally killed him. Yun's body was covered in injuries. It wasn't a pleasant thing to be constantly hit by the lightning. However, it was all worth it. Lightning supremacy had been killed just like that, completing an unprecedented feat. He had killed a late-stage heavenly star supremacy with his early-stage cultivation base. Chapter 2370. Yun's feat was simply too shocking. This could be considered a super leapfrogging kill. Such a huge leap surpassed everyone's imagination. No one had expected Yun to be able to do this. Being able to slightly suppress the lightning supremacy was already rather impressive. Now, even the lightning supremacy had been slain. This meant that he had the strength to contend with a late-stage heavenly star supremacy. Wouldn't he be even more terrifying when he broke through to the mid-stage heavenly star supremacy? If he became a late-stage heavenly star supremacy, wouldn't he be invincible among heavenly star supremacies? This was indeed true. Once he broke through to the late-stage heavenly star supremacy, he would truly be invincible. No one would be able to withstand his attacks. This is too shocking. Wu Yuan and the others were stunned. Looks like Wu Yang didn't misjudge him. His potential is truly terrifying. As long as there are no problems with this battle, he will definitely become a super powerhouse in the future. He will be the next hidden dragon supremacy. Ordinary supremacies simply couldn't compare to such formidable strength. No one would believe that an early-stage heavenly star supremacy could kill a late-stage heavenly star supremacy. As long as the supremacy wasn't a fool, he wouldn't be killed. The lightning supremacy wasn't a fool, nor was he careless. Instead, he attacked with all his might. The result was obvious. Yun had successfully killed him. Even though Yun appeared to be in a sorry state, no one dared to mock him. They could only feel incomparably shocked. Who would dare mock him after witnessing such shocking strength? Defeating a late-stage heavenly star supremacy as a mid-stage heavenly star supremacy was already something to be proud of, let alone killing an early-stage heavenly star supremacy. The gap between them was extremely shocking. After exhaling, Yun turned to the North Peak Supremacy and glared at him coldly. Didn't you want to avenge your subordinate? You can come up now. The North Peak Supremacy was startled. Then, his eyes lit up with ecstasy. You said it, not me. The North Peak Exalt looked at the others and sneered. Why are you still blocking my way? He already allowed me to go up. This is an open and above-board competition. Could it be that none of you are going to let me fight? Even after using all of their means, the situation was still far from ideal. And now, the Lightning Supremacy was dead. They might not be completely defeated, but at the very least, they wouldn't have much of a chance. He originally wanted to suppress his opponents with a number of Heavenly Star Supremes, and then ruthlessly defeat those big heads and end the battle. This was a very simple and crude plan. He did not need to set up too many things. All he needed to do was defeat his opponent. However, such a simple and crude plan had failed. The opponent had an anomaly, and that was Yun. Yun had just defeated the Lightning Supremacy and was still injured. Now, he was fighting with the North Peak Supremacy. Wasn't that equivalent to courting death? He didn't even slow down for a moment before continuing to fight. That was no different from courting death. The North Peak Exalt and the others would definitely agree. Even if they couldn't win this round, they would at least kill Yun, right? This was a huge hidden danger in the future. Even if they failed, at least they wouldn't have to worry. As for provoking the Purple Flame Tribe, that might be a headache, but they could still deal with it. What they were most afraid of was the appearance of another hidden dragon supremacy. That was the most frightening existence. The purple gold dragon looked at Yun and wanted to persuade him. However, the clan leader beside him shook his head, indicating for him not to interrupt. Since Yun had chosen to do so, they could only choose to respect him. They had already broken through to this level of cultivation, so they could see past everything. Some dignity had to be regained. Yun had been wrongly accused. In their opinion, he was definitely furious. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone to such an extent. Moreover, this was Yun's choice. If he really died, it would be his own choice. At least he wouldn't regret it. Ha ha ha. When the North Peak Supremacy saw that the purple gold dragon didn't continue to block him, he laughed heartily. He leaped up and rapidly flew in front of Yun. Ignoring his conscience, he said, "Not bad. You have some ability to kill the Lightning Supremacy. I admire your courage. You're really brave." As he spoke, he was completely mocking Yun. He felt that Yun was really stupid. Even if he was resentful, he shouldn't lose his rationality. He had clearly just killed the Lightning Supremacy and was seriously injured. Yet, he still wanted to fight with him. This was bravery, but not strategy. He wanted to give them a chance to die. The other Heavenly Star Supremacies also laughed. As long as they could kill Yun, they could basically retreat. From dealing with the Purple Flame Tribe, they now wanted to kill Yun. Is that so? Thank you for your compliment. Yun smiled indifferently, but in their eyes, it looked like a fool's smile. You're welcome. The North Peak Supremacy's gaze turned cold. He had a teasing expression on his face. I wonder if I can take revenge for my subordinate now? With so many people watching, I can't just stand there like a fool. Or should I give you a little more time to recover? Since you want to go down and accompany the Lightning Supremacy so quickly, then come. Yun gestured. Idiot. Do you really think that you could defeat me just because you killed the Lightning Supremacy? The North Peak Supremacy was filled with disdain. He felt that Yun was a fool who had been blinded by victory. However, this was the kind of person he liked. Only then would he have a chance to come up. In that case, before the North Peak Supremacy finished speaking, he quickly threw out 5 tokens. These tokens quickly turned into 5 mountains, sealing off the surroundings of Yun. Despicable. The hearts of Z Gold Dragon and the others sank. The North Peak Supremacy had used his strongest move from the get-go. That was the sealing array he was most proud of. He wanted to seal off Yun first. This was to prevent Yun from escaping. If that happened, they wouldn't be able to kill him. At the same time, they had to be cautious. After all, Etienne had killed the lightning supremacy in a real fight. This was enough to prove that he wasn't a simple character. Although he was injured, they still had to be cautious to avoid any accidents. However, as the 5 tokens were thrown out, Etienne's figure flashed. He disappeared from where he stood and rushed over at a terrifying speed. Lightning supremacy's ability? The North Peak supremacy was stunned. He seemed to have seen the lightning constellation Dharma idle behind Etienne. This was the ability of the lightning supremacy. How did Etienne have it too? They all thought that Etienne was a fool. In reality, Etienne was more clear-headed than anyone else. He had intentionally caused the North Peak supremacy to look like he was seriously injured. In reality, his injuries weren't that serious. He would have no problem dealing with the North Peak supremacy. Chapter 2371. Swoosh. Etienne's figure flickered as he arrived before the North Peak supremacy at an even more astonishing speed. When the North Peak supremacy tossed out the 5 tokens, he had already been prepared to attack. Since the other party wanted to launch a sneak attack on him, how could he not be prepared? In practically an instant, he arrived before the North Peak supremacy. Brandishing the saber in his hand, he rapidly slashed down. The combination of unparalleled strength and speed had reached an extremely shocking height. As the saber slashed down heavily, the North Peak supremacy hurriedly blocked the attack and tossed out a token. However, the saber still slashed down heavily, landing on the token. Boom! Accompanied by a loud sound, the North Peak supremacy was sent flying. His palms were badly mutilated, and blood flowed freely. It was a very tragic sight. The token that was used as a defense had been smashed by the saber strike. If not for the token, the North Peak supremacy would definitely have been split in half. Although he wouldn't die from such a tyrannical saber strike, he would definitely be severely injured. As soon as they made contact, Etienne's ferocious attacks forced the North Peak supremacy to retreat. What's going on? How can he still be so strong? Wasn't he attacked by the Thunder supremacy? The North Peak supremacy rapidly retreated, feeling incomparably shocked. He had never imagined that Etienne could still erupt with such terrifying combat prowess. He had previously concluded that even if Etienne could still fight, he would be much weaker than before. But now, it seemed that he had been too naive. He wasn't weaker at all. In fact, he was much stronger. Strangely, the effect of the Thunder Supremacy's star aspect actually appeared on Etienne's body. This made the North Peak Supremacy look like he had seen a ghost. Etienne's speed was already shocking enough. Now, with the addition of the power of lightning, he was even faster than before. The Thunder Supremacy's speed was even faster than the North Peak Supremacy's. And now, Etienne's speed was even faster than the Thunder Supremacy's. Under such circumstances, the North Peak Supremacy couldn't even put up a fight. What are you hiding for? Fight me head-on. Didn't you want to avenge your subordinates? Etienne snorted coldly and continued to attack. His silhouette flashed and turned into a bolt of black lightning, striking down fiercely. The North Peak Supreme Martial Artist quickly took out his badge, as well as many star venerable level treasures. However, none of them worked, as they were all destroyed by his blade strike. What was even more shocking was that the attack had already landed before the North Peak Supremacy could even throw it out. Boom! The North Peak Exalt was sent flying, a deep wound appearing on his body. He had nearly been torn into 2. The scariest thing was that the scar on his face had almost struck his soul. If his soul was injured, the North Peak Supremacy would not even have the ability to resist. Damaging the soul would bring about even more severe injuries. Although he hadn't been hit yet, the situation was very bad. From the very beginning, the North Peak Exalt had been getting beaten up, causing them to be dumbfounded once more. Everyone had thought that Etienne was irrational. He had been satisfied with killing the Thunder Supremacy, yet he still wanted to challenge the North Peak Supreme Martial Artist. Now, it seemed that Etienne wasn't irrational, nor was he reckless. Instead, he really had great power, and he was able to suppress the North Peak Supreme Martial Artist once more. What's going on? Wasn't he injured just now? Why is his power still increasing? They were all dumbfounded. The purple gold dragon didn't even know what to say. He was happy, but he was even more shocked. He had previously thought that Tianyun would do such a thing for the sake of his dignity. But now, it seemed that Tianyun had chosen a fight because he believed he could. Tianyun chased after the North Peak Supreme Martial Artist and started fighting. The North Peak Supreme Martial Artist kept shouting madly. Damn it, what's going on? How can he have such explosive power? The North Peak Supreme Martial Artist kept dodging Tianyun's attacks. However, it was all for naught. Tianyun was relentless in his pursuit. The North Peak Supreme Martial Artist couldn't escape even if he wanted to. He could only get chopped down. As for the other supremacies, it was impossible for them to save him. Previously, when the Thunder Supremacy was fighting Tianyun, they were already unable to save him. Now, needless to say, the difference in numbers was starting to put them at a disadvantage. Originally, the others were still fighting. Now, they were all separated. As long as Tianyun won this battle, everything would be over. What was the point of fighting then? Wu Yang and the others had returned long ago. Everyone from both sides was watching the battle between Tianyun and the North Peak Supreme Martial Artist. When the Thunder Supremacy and Tianyun started fighting, the battle was considered to have come to a stop. The original battle between factions had turned into a battle of spectators. They watched from the sidelines in a daze. It wasn't that they didn't want to fight. Rather, the key to victory or defeat was the battle between the two of them. Whoever won would be the victor of the battle. The Thunder Supremacy had been killed. Now, it was the North Peak Supreme Martial Artist's turn. If even the North Peak Supreme Martial Artist was killed, it would be a complete defeat. The most frightening thing was that they would end up provoking Tianyun. If that happened, they might not even be able to protect their clans. Under such circumstances, what was the point of fighting? They would rather fight less. If they could plead for leniency, they might be able to protect their clans. Boom! The North Peak Supreme Martial Artist was sent flying again. The wounds on his body were like ravines. It was a terrifying sight to behold. This time, the North Peak Supreme Martial Artist was seriously injured. It was impossible for him to retaliate. With Tianyun suppressing him in all aspects, it was impossible for him to resist. Die! Tianyun slashed down with his saber, aiming for the North Peak Supreme Martial Artist's head. At this moment, the North Peak Supreme Martial Artist could see death looming over him. He opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but Tianyun didn't give him any chance. The saber fell, completely cleaving the North Peak Supreme Martial Artist in two, ending his life. It's over. Tianyun looked at the North Peak Supreme Martial Artist, who had been reduced to dust, with a cold expression. Ding! Successfully killed the North Peak Supreme Martial Artist. Obtained 30 billion star energy points and 6,000 slaughter points. Obtained North Peak Stellar Aspect, level 6. North Peak Divine Mountain, rare. Tianyun had accomplished yet another historic feat. Not only had he killed a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy, but he had also killed another veteran Heavenly Star Supremacy, shocking everyone once again. After killing the North Peak Supreme Martial Artist, he turned to look at the remaining Heavenly Star Supremacies and coldly said, "Who else dares to challenge me?" His words sent a chill down their spines. Even two such terrifying Heavenly Star Supremacies had been killed, so how could they possibly challenge him? Seeing that Tianyun was in an even better state than before, who would dare to challenge him? Chapter 2372. Tianyun scanned the surroundings coldly. Everyone exchanged glances and saw fear in each other's eyes. Even the North Peak Supremacy was dead. Who else could fight against Tianyun? Perhaps there was. It was the Blue Dragon family's Blue Dragon Supremacy. The Blue Dragon Supremacy was very strong. However, no matter how strong he was about the same level as the Thunder Supremacy. He wasn't at a particularly heaven-defying level. Against Tianyun, he chose to remain silent. He wasn't like the North Peak Supremacy, who would have rushed forward to challenge him immediately. The main reason was that they had no chance of winning now. So many supremacies had died. None of the Purple Flame tribe's supremacies were fine. Moreover, each of them was very strong. If they attacked together, they would be completely defeated. How could they fight under such circumstances? The key was that the Blue Dragon supremacy wasn't as shameless as the Thunder supremacy. It would be too shameless to attack a newly ascended Sky Star supremacy for a third time. Song Long Supreme, what do you think? Etianyan looked at Song Long Supreme. He wanted to know what Song Long Supreme thinks. The Blue Dragon supremacy was currently the strongest supremacy and represented the Blue Dragon family. The leaders of the other two families had been killed by him. Now, only the Blue Dragon family was left. Sigh, we have lost this battle. The Blue Dragon supremacy sighed deeply. I admit that we have lost. However, it doesn't mean that we will let you be the fish on the chopping block. We can compensate you for this battle. However, if you aren't satisfied, we will definitely resist to the end. The Blue Dragon supremacy had chosen to lower his head and admit defeat. It was impossible for him to simply admit defeat and leave. The Purple Flame tribe definitely wouldn't let them go. They came and went as they pleased. If they didn't pay a price, they definitely wouldn't be willing. When the Blue Dragon supremacy chose to admit defeat, the disciples of the Thunder family and the North Peak family were ashen-faced. Even the Blue Dragon family had admitted defeat. That meant that they had lost. The Purple Flame tribe and the Wu family cheered. They had finally won this battle. It could be said that it was more daunting than dangerous, and the losses were not great. This was because before the large-scale losses occurred, Etianyan had already stopped the subsequent situation from happening. After killing one or two supreme beings, he forcefully stopped them from killing. This forced the situation of continuing the battle to a halt. It was equivalent to turning the original battle between factions into a one-on-one battle. It was equivalent to Etianyan shouldering all the risks. If he won, then everything would be over. On the other hand, if he lost, then the battle would continue, and the situation would definitely be extremely tragic. After all, it was the three great factions that had attacked. By the time the Supremes had come out, who knew how many powerhouses within the Divine Star Venerable level had already fallen? However, the current situation was equally terrible. It wasn't the Purple Flame clan and the Wu family that were in trouble, but the Thunder clan and the North Peak clan. Now that they had admitted defeat, they weren't like the side of the Blue Dragon sovereign, who could casually admit defeat and pay a small price to settle the matter. This was because the Thunder clan and the North Peak clan had each lost a super powerhouse. Under such circumstances, the number of powerhouses in their factions had shrunk rapidly. In the face of the overbearing power of the Purple Flame clan, it was not so easy for them to bow their heads and admit defeat. Price? Guesty, what price do you want? Just get him to give it to you. This is all your credit. No matter what you get, it belongs to you. The Purple Golden Dragon looked at Etianyan with a smile. All the rewards were his, and they had only put in a little effort. If it hadn't been for Etianyan, the Purple Flame clan would have suffered heavy losses, and it could even be said that they would have been exterminated. Therefore, their gratitude towards Etianyan was quite great. All right, I won't stand on ceremony. Etianyan didn't stand on ceremony at all. He quickly listed out a large list and flicked it towards the Blue Dragon sovereign. Y1 is on the list. I won't say anything about the time. I don't think the Blue Dragon sovereign will go back on his word. The Blue Dragon sovereign took a look and heaved a sigh of relief. No problem. I'll help you collect it within a month and send it to the Purple Flame planet. After saying that, the Blue Dragon sovereign left with his people. However, when the people from the North Peak clan and the Thunder clan wanted to leave, Etianyan said in a deep voice, "Did I say that you too could leave? What price do you want us to pay? We'll accept it. If it's too much, we'd rather die and fight you to the end." The remaining Divine Star Venerables from the Thunder clan and the North Peak clan chose a higher status to speak. The Supremes who came were all dead, so they could only let the Divine Star Venerables speak. Under normal circumstances, they didn't even have the right to speak. Fight me to the end? Etianyan sneered and took a step forward. A terrifying aura pressed forward, forcing the Divine Star Venerables in the lead to retreat. You'll definitely have to pay the price, and it'll be a very serious one. If you're not willing to pay, then I'll fight you to the end and completely flatten your two clans. I know there are other Heavenly Star Venerables in your clans. I didn't mind at all, so I destroyed them all. If it's possible, you can give it a try. I know you don't have much power, but I'll make a list and let you take it back. If you can't gather it within a month, you can wait for me to come find you. Ichinyan's tone was extremely strict, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. The two clans were the ones who started this war. Ichinyan definitely wouldn't let them off easily. He had to make them bleed, and it had to be a very powerful one. After saying that, Ichinyan made a list and engraved it on a jade slip. Then, he flicked it to the temporary representatives of the two clans. They took it, checked it, and immediately said angrily, "This request is too harsh. Our clans won't have any resources left after taking it out. You can choose not to take it out. When the time comes, not only will your resources be snatched by me, but your clans will also be destroyed by me. Do you believe me?" Ichinyan looked at them coldly. They were speechless, and their faces were ugly. It's really bad luck to provoke Ichinyan. They didn't reply and turn around to go back. They were either preparing resources or waiting for him to come knocking. Ichinyan's approach was correct. The Purple Flame tribe would have done the same. Although they had a great advantage, the two clans still had a considerable foundation. If they really fought, the losses would be relatively greater. It wasn't a problem to choose to pay a little price. "Brother E, what price did you ask them to pay for them to fall out so easily?" Wu Yang flew over, somewhat curious. Ichinyan smiled and flicked a jade slip to him. After Wu Yang received it, he glanced at it and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. No wonder they all fell out. Just this amount of resources is equivalent to selling off their clans. If they really gather all the resources for you, their clans will probably regress by thousands of years or even tens of thousands of years. After Wu Yang saw the detailed list, he felt that Ichinyan's asking price was too ruthless. However, it was indeed ruthless. Since they had done something like this, they had to pay a corresponding price. Chapter 2373. This battle was finally over. Overall, the losses were not great and could be said to be negligible. At most, they would lose some Divine Star Venerables, which was an acceptable price. It was impossible for there to be no casualties in a war. If not for Ichinyan's sudden appearance, the losses would have been even more shocking. After the battle, everything returned to normal. Ichinyan returned to the Purple Flame clan and waited for the three great families to pay for what they have done to him. As for the Purple Flame clan and the Wu family chose the right side this time. Otherwise, they would have to pay a shocking price like the other three big families. This was a pleasant surprise for the Wu family. Wu Yang's choice was correct. If he had made the wrong choice, he would have to pay a big price. Even if he remained neutral, the losses would still be shocking. Although he did not offend the Purple Flame clan and Ichinyan, it was still a great loss. He would not be able to make friends with the Purple Flame clan and a genius like Ichinyan. Knock, knock, knock. The sound of knocking came from outside. Ichinyan opened his eyes from the luxurious VIP room and walked over to open the door. Zi Shuiwei came into view. "Elder Shuiwei, what's the matter?" Ichinyan asked. "Guest, the Patriarch asked me to call you over. He has something to tell you," Zi Shuiwei said with a smile. "All right, let's go over now." Ichinyan nodded and followed Zi Shuiwei. As he followed Zi Shuiwei, many Purple Flame clan members greeted him. Ichinyan's status in the Purple Flame clan was quite high. He was basically equivalent to an elder. Not only did Ichinyan help them resist the enemies, but he also had amazing strength. Of course, he would receive a lot of respect. Under Zi Shuiwei's lead, they soon arrived at a relatively inner area. Outsiders could not enter this area. Even the Purple Flame clan members might not be able to enter at will. If they entered without notice, they would definitely be severely punished. It was enough to show how important this area was. Now that he was brought here, it meant that there must be something important. When he entered, Yun saw a few familiar figures in front of him. He smiled. It was all within his expectations. In front of him was the head of the Wu family, Wu Yuanan, Wu Yong, and the others. The Wu family did not put in much effort this time, but they chose to side with the Purple Yin clan. Basically, they could be regarded as trustworthy allies. Little friend. No, I should call you brother. Wu Yuanan smiled when he saw Yun walk over. His cultivation was different, and his strength was even more astonishing. Thus, the way he addressed him had changed. Beside him, Wu Yong didn't know what to say. Was he supposed to address him as Lord? Brother Wu, just call me the same as before. Yun saw through his thoughts and smiled. This, isn't that messing up the seniority? How about this? I'll call you Big Brother E. It was not that Wu Yong could not let it go. He just had to change the way he addressed Yun. That's good. Yun nodded and did not say anything else. Wu Wan looked at Yun with a complicated expression. She did not expect him to change so quickly. The cultivator that she had helped previously had actually advanced to this level. It really shocked her. You are all here. Zijin Long walked out with a face full of smiles. He was obviously quite happy. This time, I asked you all to come here because I want to show you something. I believe the Wu clan leader should know about it. I've heard a little about it. Wu Yuanan was a little embarrassed. Even if he changed sides, at the beginning, he was still attacking the Purple Yin clan with the other families. If not for Yun, the war would have really started. Well, this time I'll bring you all to see that treasure. Zijin Long could see that Wu Yuanan was a little embarrassed, but he did not point it out. He turned around and led them inside. They quickly followed. After passing through a long corridor, they soon arrived in front of a purple door. Zijin Long reached out and pressed his hand on it. Then, a rumbling sound came from the door. In the next moment, it slowly opened. A wave of purple gas surged out, making them feel a little cold. Their cultivations were not low, so something that could make them feel a chill was definitely not simple. After the purple gas in front of them dissipated, they saw a huge purple stone. It was like a full moon standing on the altar in front of them. However, this full moon was not pure white. Instead, it was purple, and it continuously released purple gas. After they all entered, the door closed. This is the purple divine crystal. Wu Yuanan and the other side after seeing it for the first time. Purple divine crystal. Yun's eyes narrowed. He looked at the purple divine crystal up and down, his eyes shining. Purple divine crystal, the high-level version of the purple king crystal. It has the effect of improving the star dharma powers. It was a simple sentence, but it already represented the preciousness of the item. The purple divine crystal was used to improve the level of the star dharma powers. If one wanted to break through to a higher cultivation level, they would need a divine medicine. Yun had experienced this long ago. He did not know how many resources he needed to break through to the Paragon Star Dharma powers. It was no wonder that so many families had gone crazy and wanted to take down the Purple Yin tribe. Such a big piece of purple divine crystal was constantly tempting them. They wanted to break through to a higher level. Otherwise, they would not have rushed over to besiege the Purple Yin tribe. The Purple Yin tribe would definitely not sell the purple divine crystal, let alone share it. Hence, they could only use force. That's right. This is the purple divine crystal. It is one of the materials that can be used to improve the star dharma powers. Zijin Long sighed. Of course, this is only one of the materials. It is just that in this area, only we have this type of material. Guesty, I guess you're not very clear about this. You have just broken through to the heavenly star supremacy, so you do not know the situation after that. I am indeed not very clear about this. Yun did not try to be brave. If he did not know, then he did not know. He really did not know. Yes, the next level after the heavenly star supremacy is the 9-star supremacy. If you want to break through to the 9-star supremacy level, you'll definitely need these materials. You have just experienced this. Without divine medicine, there is no way to improve. The purple divine crystal is one of the materials. However, it does not necessarily need the purple divine crystal. It can be the fire divine crystal, the wood divine crystal, and the like. The purple divine crystal is actually not very suitable for those families. However, in the vicinity, only the purple yin tribe has this type of material. Hence, they have been keeping a close eye on us. Zi Jinlong explained. Yi Tianyin immediately understood. Chapter 2374. 9-Star Supreme. Yi Tianyin's eyes flashed. If a heavenly star supreme was so strong, how strong would a 9-Star Supreme be? The purple God crystal in front of him was only one of the materials. Previously, it required 3 types of divine medicine. Would breaking through to 9-Star Supreme require less than this? Of course not. It was either equal or more than this. The purple God crystal was only one of the materials. Fortunately, it could be exchanged for other crystals to break through. Just as the purple golden dragon said, the fire God crystal and the like were arranged according to one's attribute. For example, the fire attribute physique definitely required the fire God crystal to break through. This way, the effect would undoubtedly be better. It was not impossible to use other crystals to break through, but the fusion would be much worse. In a later stage, it would cost a lot to reverse the situation. However, no matter what the cost was, breaking through to 9-Star Supreme was the most important. If one couldn't break through, then it was useless to keep guarding. There were no similar crystals around, so what was the point of guarding? Unless one left this area. But who would want to leave their own area? Controlling and dominating one's own area was so refreshing. Immediately, Yi Tianyin used the appraisal eye to see if there were other crystals around. After scanning the area, there was indeed no similar crystal. Not to mention a large piece, there wasn't even a small piece. Only when searching for the purple God crystal did it appear here. Yes, it's 9-Star Supreme. This is the aspiration of all heavenly star supremes. We all want to break through to a higher level. They have all broken through to the late stage of heavenly star supreme and want to break through further. The purple golden dragon sighed and said, back then, the hidden dragon supreme left this area because he broke through to 9-Star Supreme. Otherwise, if the hidden dragon supreme stayed here, no one would be able to defeat him. Yi Tianyin nodded. This hidden dragon venerable was really strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to spread his information. This time, I brought you here not only to take a look at the purple God crystal, but also to allow you to cultivate here. The purple golden dragon said a piece of shocking news, which shocked Wu Yuanan and the others. However, it was also within expectations. The purple golden dragon naturally didn't let them come just to take a look. You want us to cultivate here? What do you mean? Wu Yuanan's expression turned serious. This was a very important matter. How could he not ask clearly? There's only one piece of purple divine crystal. If we were to dig it out and give it to you, it might be the simplest and most crude method, but it would be the same as cutting off our path of retreat. Because this piece of purple divine crystal is able to continuously produce purple qi. The purple qi will allow you to condense a piece of purple divine crystal in your body. It does take a lot of time, but for the sake of long-term development, this is the only way. The purple golden dragon felt a little helpless. They also wanted to dig it out directly. Who wouldn't want to do that? However, if that was the case, the ending would be over very quickly. Where would he find them then? This is still understandable. It seems that this piece of purple divine crystal is very large, but if it was really divided, it wouldn't last for too long. Wu Yuan nodded, expressing his understanding. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible to successfully break through without several attempts, especially since it was so difficult to break through to the 9-Star Supremacy level. It was very likely that he would need to try 4 or 5 times to break through. Under such circumstances, who knew how many purple God crystals he would have to spend after 4 or 5 attempts? Thus, everything had to be spent sparingly. Otherwise, if there was nothing left, who knew where to find them? This kind of thing was extremely precious, and the area where it was found was very dangerous. No one wanted to risk their life and run around. When the time came, they would die before they could obtain the treasure. And so you can only condense it slowly. The time it takes is still relatively long, but the price is acceptable. You only need to condense it for about 100 years, and you will be able to condense a small piece of purple divine crystal in your body. Under normal circumstances, condensing it for 10,000 years will allow you to condense a piece of purple divine crystal suitable for you to break through. The purple golden dragon smiled faintly and said, 10,000 years is not a problem for us, right? Of course it's not a problem. To be able to obtain a piece of purple divine crystal in 10,000 years is quite worth it. Wu Yuan nodded in satisfaction at the side. He was very satisfied with this. What 10,000 years? Etienne's face twitched. To him, this was a long time. It should be said that it was too long. Yes, 10,000 years. This is the shortest time, right? Who knows? It might take even longer. This depends on the individual's ability. The purple golden dragon thought that Etienne felt that the time was too short, so he said with a smile, in short, this time is not considered long. Just condense it a little bit and it will be done. Of course, we can't just absorb it like crazy. This way, there won't be enough to distribute. We can only absorb it in turns. For example, in the distribution of time, the first 1,000 years will be absorbed by clan leader Wu, and the next 1,000 years will be absorbed by guest elder Yi. This kind of cycle. The purple golden dragon explained. After all, on our side, there are still 2 clan leaders who need a breakthrough, so we are a little nervous. There is one more thing that can be considered as an additional rule. During this time, if anything happens to the Purple Flame Clan, please help to solve it. Is this acceptable? No problem. This is nothing. Since clan leader Z is so generous, if we can't even do this, then we are too unreasonable. Wu Yuan smiled. He was quite satisfied. If it was before, he wouldn't know where to find it. Maybe he could get it by robbing, but with so many forces, if he divided it slightly, he probably wouldn't get much. Now, not only could he get purple divine crystals, but he could also form a good relationship with the Purple Flame Clan. It was the best of both worlds. What does guest elder think? The purple golden dragon looked at Etienne and asked for his opinion. Under normal circumstances, without the cultivation of a late heavenly star supremacy, one wouldn't be in a hurry to condense purple divine crystals. Wu Yang and the others just came to take a look. They hadn't even broken through to heavenly star supremacy. Therefore, Etienne made an exception and let him absorb it in advance. He would slowly accumulate it, and by the time he reached late heavenly star supremacy, he would probably have enough. I won't absorb it. It's a little too long for me. I wonder if there are some areas where there are similar things that I can excavate? Etienne smiled awkwardly. To let him stay here for 10,000 years, he thought about it and decided to forget about it. He would rather go to other places and take risks. Others were afraid of death, but he wasn't. He had so many escape methods. A super transfer divine stone was enough for him to escape easily. No matter what the situation was, he could escape easily. There were no restrictions that could trap him. Although there was a limit to the number of times it could be used, it wouldn't be a problem to use it a few times. The purple golden dragon and the others looked at each other. They didn't expect Etienne to say such a thing. Chapter 2375. 10,000 years might be a short period of time for others, but for Etienne, it was really too long. It was really too long. He wasn't even 10,000 years old yet. If he were to obediently stay here and condense a piece of crystal, would he need 10,000 years? If he were an ordinary cultivator, it would be fine. However, he had the system now. If he were to obediently stay here and cultivate, he would basically be out of his mind. He had never been a person who was content with his lot. Thus, he couldn't just waste his time here. He would rather take a risk. Although there weren't any here, it didn't mean that there weren't any in other regions. It was just that the outside was very dangerous. The higher the level, the more dangerous it was. Not just the outside, but there were many dangerous places in this region. Even a late-stage heavenly star supremacy was somewhat afraid. Every time one broke through to a new realm, it would be too naive to think that they were truly invincible. What was invincible? Only those who could truly control everything in the world could be called invincible. With their current abilities, they were far from being invincible. Thus, they would be extremely cautious when doing many things, especially risky things. If they were alone, they definitely wouldn't feel any pressure. Now that they had a clan behind them, they didn't dare to die and couldn't die. Thus, they wouldn't recklessly take risks. Once they died, their clan would lose an expert, and they might be restrained by other clans or besieged by them. In this era where resources were frantically snatched, no one could stay at home and cultivate peacefully. This was just like the Purple Flame race. They didn't provoke anyone, but the other clans had their eyes on the Purple Flame race's treasures. Everyone, don't mind my words. I'm just expressing my thoughts. 10,000 years is a little too long for me. I want to go out and explore. Onion shook his head and said, "Since Guesty has said so, I won't say anything else." The purple gold dragon thought for a moment, then came to the side of the purple divine crystal. He reached out and dug out a piece of purple divine crystal. He handed it to Onion and said, "If Guest doesn't intend to stay for long, then this purple divine crystal will be your reward." The purple gold dragon was very straightforward. Since Onion wasn't willing to stay here to absorb, he directly gave him a piece. Won't this affect the purple god crystal? Onion definitely didn't mind the other party giving him the purple god crystal. This thing was also very useful to him. "A little won't affect you too much. This should be enough for you to use once," said the purple gold dragon. "Then I'll accept it." Onion accepted the purple divine crystal without hesitation. Yuanon was not envious. To him, 10,000 years was not much time. Let alone 10,000 years, even 100,000 years was not much time. In any case, his cultivation base had already reached its limit. It would be very difficult for him to break through any further. Thus, it was good enough that he had a method to increase his cultivation base. He wasn't like Onion. What he needed was a steady stream of water. After all, he might not succeed even if he tried 4 or 5 times. The purple god crystal in Onion's hand could only be used once. The purple gold dragon couldn't possibly give him another piece, right? If that was the case, then Onion would have to make a great contribution. The purple gold dragon had called them over this time to talk about the purple divine crystal. Now that it was arranged, they could naturally leave. However, Onion was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he continued to stay on the Violet Flame planet. He waited for the 3 big families to gather the materials and then bring them back. Now that his cultivation base had broken through to the heavenly star supremacy, it was time to return to the Scarlet Moon planet to get rid of the ancient giant beast. He believed that as long as the other party was not a 9-star supremacy, he would definitely be able to kill the ancient giant beast. He would not forget why he was here. After killing the ancient giant beast, he could basically go to the area where the Purple Cloud Star Emperor was. The Purple Cloud Star Emperor should know about the miraculous medicine that could help him break through to the 9-star supremacy level. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. The Songlong family quickly gathered all the resources and sent them over. However, it was not the Songlong supremacy who sent them over personally. Instead, they sent another supremacy to deliver them. The Songlong supremacy would not come over. Such a sullen matter could only be left to the elder. The elder of the Songlong family did not look too good either. After throwing the resources to Onion, he left right away, not bothering to say anything else. Anyone would not look too good after giving away so many resources. There are really a lot of resources. The Songlong family is really rich. Onion revealed a satisfied smile when he finished checking the things in the star ring. In fact, the price he asked for was very simple. It was nothing more than the star venerable level treasures. He needed a large number of the upper, middle, and lower grades. For example, he needed 100 upper grade star venerable level treasures. He needed 200 middle grade treasures. He needed 1,000 lower grade treasures. This was not just a huge loss, it was practically a vomiting of blood. In addition, There was also a batch of miraculous medicine that could help him break through to the divine, star venerable level. These were all prepared for his own forces. It could be said that it was a shocking amount of resources. The Songlong family was almost emptied out. Fortunately, the Songlong family could accept it. Otherwise, the Songlong supremacy would fight him to the death. Time passed quickly. Another month passed. The Beifeng family and the Leitang family still did not send anyone over to deliver the resources. He had given them more than a month, but they still did not send anyone over. However, he soon heard the latest news. The latest news was that the two great families were unwilling to hand over the resources. If they wanted the resources, they would flatten the two great families. Guesty, this is what the two great families have said. What are you going to do? The Purple Yin clan will help you seek justice. Those who resist will be flattened. The purple gold dragon's eyes shone with a cold light. Thank you, clan leader Z. However, I will do it myself, Tianyun said calmly. I will let them know the consequences of rejecting me. Do they really think that I can't do anything to them if they stay in their lair? Clan leader Z, I will go to them first. I will take care of everything personally. Clan leader Z, I hope you will not interfere. Then he flew away, leaving behind the purple gold dragon, who was deep in thought. Looks like it will be lively. Those are two great families. Their foundations are not bad. I have to go and take a look. The purple gold dragon turned around and told the Purple Yin clan what to do. Then he also flew over. This matter spread quickly and caused a great commotion on the Hidden Dragon Star. It could be said to be an extremely shocking matter. The destruction of the two great families was not the main point. The main point was why Tianyun had come to hold the two great families accountable. Was he really going to flatten the two great families? Chapter 2376. Tianyun rushed to the Leitang clan as fast as he could. There was no other reason than that the Leitang clan was closer to him. If the Beifeng clan was closer, he would definitely deal with them first. Whoever was closer would be dealt with first. He had just arrived at the Leitang clan when he saw people from the Wu clan guarding at the side. When they saw him coming, they all came over to greet him. Greetings, sir. These were all divine star venerables from the Wu clan. They had obviously been arranged to wait here. What's the matter? Tianyun looked at them and asked. The clan leader said that if Sir comes, please say something. If Sir wants to seek justice, the Wu clan will be happy to accompany you to battle, said the cultivator. Oh, that's not necessary. Go back and thank your clan leader. Leave this to me. After all, this is my own business. I also want to let the other clans know what the price of breaking the contract is. Tianyun's eyes were cold. If he relied on other forces, he would not be able to establish his authority. Most importantly, he was a man of his word. Since the two clans had gone against him, they should be completely flattened. They looked at each other and finally chose to nod in agreement. Since Tianyun had said so, what else could they say? In fact, both the Beifeng clan and the Leitang clan had arranged for people to guard here. They did not know which clan Tianyun would go to first, but they had already made arrangements. It had to be said that the Wu clan was very supportive of Tianyun. If it came down to it, they were willing to stand on the same side as Tianyun. Of course, it was not that they valued friendship and righteousness, but Tianyun was a super potential stock. As long as he did not die, he would become a hidden dragon sovereign in the future, who would not want to curry favor with him. The Wu clan had a good relationship with Tianyun, so they had to support him even more. To put it cruelly, if Tianyun was not a powerhouse, no one would support him doing this. This was not something that could be done on a whim. That would bring serious consequences. Even if Wu Yang was hot-headed, he was only representing himself. How could he dare to represent the clan? After giving his instructions, Tianyun flew above the Thunder Clan. At this time, the Leitang clan had already set up all of their defensive arrays, sealing this place tightly and impenetrably. They were already prepared to fight. If Tianyun attacked, they would immediately retaliate. Tianyun's eyes turned cold. He took a heavy step forward, shattering the void and shaking the mountains. Thunder Clan, listen up. I will give you one last chance. If you hand over the resources now, I won't make a move. On the contrary, I'll flatten this place so that you won't even have the chance to make a comeback." Etienne's voice spread out, covering the entire area. The people of the Thunder Clan raised their heads and looked over, all of them very vigilantly watching this side. "If you want to make a move, then make a move. We will never compromise." At this moment, a figure flew over. This person was none other than the elder of the Thunder family, Supremacy Sky Thunder. His cultivation wasn't weak, being at the mid-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy realm. However, in front of Etienne, it wasn't enough. Even a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy could not withstand many moves in front of him, let alone this mid-stage one. "Looks like you represent the entire Thunder Clan now." Etienne looked at him coldly. "Us too." Another Heavenly Star Supremacy flew over. His cultivation was similarly at the mid-stage. Looks like their foundation was still not weak. They had 4 Heavenly Star Supremacies. It was just that the strongest was already dead. What power could the remaining ones have? "Looks like you're determined to die rather than submit," Etienne said calmly. "The conditions you raised are too many. We can't accept it." They still gritted their teeth and said, "If the conditions were lowered by a portion, we could still accept it. But the conditions now, we can't accept it at all." "Can't accept it? Since your Thunder Clan made such a choice and even slandered me, then you should pay the corresponding price. Hand over all the resources and you'll still have a chance to exist. If you don't hand it over, you won't even have the chance to exist." Etienne looked at them coldly and said. After they heard that, they all remained silent and ignored Etienne's conditions. It seemed like they clearly wanted to reject the conditions given by Etienne. They wanted to persist to the end. They would rather fight than hand over the resources. Etienne looked around and said coldly, "Do you think you're safe hiding in here?" They still didn't answer, neither did they comment. Boom! Suddenly, a loud sound came crashing down from the sky, and the entire ground shook. Everyone looked up at the sky in horror and found that the hard shield was slightly dented, but there was not much of a problem overall. This made them heave a sigh of relief. "Our shield isn't that easy to break. Even if your strength isn't bad, it's impossible to break it easily," Sky Thunder Supremacy sneered. They were only afraid of the Purple Flame Tribe and the Wu Clan, but they were not afraid of Etienne. Even if there was news that Etienne had killed Thunder Supremacy and North Peak Supremacy, no one had seen the real situation. Perhaps they were seriously injured and killed by Etienne's sneak attack. He was only an early-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy. Most people did not believe that he could kill a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy. If the Purple Flame Tribe's Patriarch and the Wu Clan's experts were here, they might be a little more submissive. But now that Etienne was here alone, they were not afraid. The cultivators who were watching from the side were purely there to watch the show. How could they miss such a show? One person attacking a clan? And he's an early-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy. Is he stupid? I heard that he killed Thunder Supremacy and North Peak Supremacy. If he really has such strength, he can kill his way in. What a joke. Do you believe it? In any case, I don't believe it. They did not believe that Etienne could really kill Thunder Supremacy and North Peak Supremacy. They all treated it as a joke. How could 2 veteran Supremacies be killed by an early-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy? Did he think the 2 Supremacies were stupid? Or did he think they were stupid? Boom! Suddenly, there was another loud sound. This time, the shield shook violently. On a closer look, they realized that there was a hole in the shield. This caused them to be incomparably shocked. They had actually managed to crack the barrier. This was only the second punch, and he had already cracked such a strong shield. Wasn't this too cruel? What's going on? They were extremely shocked. Even a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy would need a long time to break it. Isn't he just an early-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy? How can he be so domineering? Chapter 2377. Etienne's strength had thoroughly shocked them. A punch with incomparably powerful strength smashed a crack in the barrier. If one punch didn't work, a second punch. Now, after 2 or 3 consecutive punches, the barrier cracked like a dense spider web, covering a large area. If this continued, the barrier would definitely break. In fact, the barrier breaking wasn't the main point. After all, the barrier could only withstand one attack. The key was that they thought this barrier could even withstand a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy for a period of time. Facing an early-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy like Yun, it couldn't even withstand a second punch, and cracks began to appear. This level of power scared them all. If they thought about it carefully, what would happen when this punch landed on them? They would definitely explode with one punch. Quick, quick, quick! What are you standing there for? Hurry up and activate the formation. Heavenly Thunder's Supremacy shouted, panicking. He immediately signaled his subordinates to activate the formation. They had only taken a few glances from the side, and a few cracks had already appeared on the barrier. If they continued to watch foolishly, the barrier would definitely shatter. Yes, only then did they react, and they quickly activated the formation. As the defensive formation operated at full force, the cracks on the surface began to repair rapidly. Most importantly, there was a corresponding rebound effect. When activated at full force, there would be an additional rebound effect. Under normal circumstances, it could only be used for defense. Only in an emergency would it be activated quickly. Normally, if the effect was activated at full force, the consumption would be rather shocking. If there was nothing to do, no one would keep activating it. Even if they had a lot of resources, they wouldn't waste them like this. After activating it, under Yun's fierce attack, there was indeed a force that rebounded and sent him flying. This was enough to show how strong this barrier was. The main point was that it was accompanied by the power of lightning that attacked him. It could be said to be a double attack. Oh, it can have such an effect? After Yun was sent flying, his body was slightly charred. It seemed like the effect of this attack was rather powerful. If it were an ordinary Heavenly Star Supremacy, it would really cause some injuries. If it were a Divine Star Supremacy, it would be courting death. No matter what, the Latang clan had many years of heritage. It was not that easy to destroy them. The reason why they chose to hide inside and resist was because they had some confidence in their own foundation. If there was nothing, they would have given up resisting long ago instead of being so stubborn here. It's starting to work. As long as the formation is activated, if he wants to break it by himself, he'll have to be heavily injured. That's right. Why don't we charge out now and try to surround them? Sovereign Heavenly Thunder and the others were all thinking whether they should charge out or continue hiding here to watch the show. If they killed their way out, who knew if there would be an ambush outside? It was obviously much safer to hide here than to stay outside. In the end, they still chose to stay inside the shield. They were all worried that there would be an ambush outside. They didn't believe that Yun was the only one from the Purple Flame clan who didn't send a single person. Therefore, they decided to observe the situation first. If Yun was alone, they would kill their way out. They still didn't believe that their two great powerhouses would be destroyed by Yun. If they weren't worried about the Purple Flame tribe surrounding them, they would have killed their way out long ago. Boom! As they were discussing, another terrifying impact came crashing down and crashed into the shield. Haha, idiot! That was such a huge impact. This time you'll die. Sovereign Heavenly Thunder and the others laughed. They thought that Yun was courting death by forcing his way in. Previously, the shield had not been activated, so it was fine if it was destroyed. Now that the shield had been activated, how could it be destroyed? Indeed, Yun was sent flying again. His body was charred black, and he looked a little wretched. However, there were a few cracks on the shield, which meant that the power of that punch was really shocking. However, in their opinion, Yun was more affected. Haha, if this continues, he'll definitely be electrocuted into charcoal. That's right. Let's see how long he can last. They didn't think that Yun would die from the rebound of the shield. After all, he was a Heavenly Star Supremacy. If he couldn't withstand it, wouldn't he just run away? The cultivators at the side shook their heads. There was nothing to see. If this continued, it would only end in failure. I heard that he defeated the Thunder Supremacy and the North Peak Supremacy. I didn't expect him to be so reckless. If this is all he has, he definitely won't be able to break it. That's right. How can he break it? He'll only be in a wretched state. When the time comes, he'll only look worse. That's right. After all, this is the Thunder Clan's special shield. In the past, it has withstood many attacks without being broken. We don't believe that he can break it. They felt that the rumors were not credible. How is it possible for someone to kill a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremacy in the early stages? Etienne didn't care about the words around him. He clapped his hands and said calmly, "This shield does have some tricks up its sleeve, so this is its effect. However, that's all there is to it. He didn't choose to destroy the formations, to break the formation. Instead, he wanted to forcefully break the shield and crush their confidence." 4 great Dharma powers, open. Etienne's eyes turned cold. He quickly displayed the effects of the 4 great Dharma powers behind him. When he added on the effects of the North Peak Supremacy and the Thunder Supremacy, the effect was truly explosive. The North Peak Supremacy's effect was the power of Earth. The effect it brought was the strongest suppression. His strength increased by more than 10 times. With the foundation of a Supremacy's cultivation base, the effect increased by 10 times was already quite shocking. Although it was much weaker than Crazy Mode, it was still better than the previous Star Dharma powers that couldn't bring about such a shocking effect. After the effect was fully activated, the sky changed color. Everyone immediately felt that something was wrong. At this moment, Etienne stomped down heavily with a cold expression. Break! It was as if he had transformed into a giant meteor, smashing heavily into the barrier. In less than half a breath's time, he landed heavily on the shield, causing a terrifying explosion. First, the space distorted. In that instant, all sound in the world disappeared. In the next second, a deafening sound rang out. Boom! Just like that, the huge shield was shattered by his foot. Not only did he shatter the shield, but he also flattened a large area beneath the shield with a single stomp. As for how many cultivators were below, he didn't care. Whether they were innocent or bloody, his goal was to flatten everything. Chapter 2378. Under the terrifying power, a small area of the Latang clan was flattened, which made all the onlookers' eyes pop out of their sockets. At first, he had barely managed to create 1 or 2 cracks, but now he had actually destroyed the entire shield with one stomp. Such a terrifying power left them dumbfounded. No one had expected that Etienne would have such terrifying power. They had thought that even if he could break the shield, it would take a long time to do so. Who knew that it wouldn't take a long time? With just one stomp, the entire shield was shattered, and a shockwave spread to the nearby area, killing many of the Latang clan's disciples. Second stomp. Etienne continued to step forward in the air. Just like that, he stepped on the void. However, the terrifying power pressed down from the soles of his feet. It was as if he had transformed into a giant foot that sank down heavily, creating a huge pit in the ground. Under the second stomp, another large area was destroyed, and there were countless casualties. Third stomp. Etienne continued to step forward, and once again, another area was trampled away. He didn't care who was below, nor did he care who was running away. His goal was to flatten the entire Latang clan. If they were able to escape from this area faster, they would be able to survive. On the other hand, if they couldn't escape, they would be trampled to death. Wow, how is this possible? He destroyed this formation with just one stomp? Supremacy Heavenly Thunder and the others found it hard to accept this fact. In their understanding, it would take a long time to break, or even impossible. Who knew that the next second, they would be slapped hard in the face? Stop! Supremacy Heavenly Thunder reacted quickly. With a roar, he rushed towards Etienne, wanting to stop him from destroying his clan. But just as he rushed to Etienne's side, Etienne suddenly slapped Supremacy Heavenly Thunder into the ground, and he couldn't get up again. This scene was even more shocking. No matter what, Heavenly Thunder Supreme was at the middle stage, but he had been slapped into the ground and hadn't been able to get up since. They were either dead or severely injured and unable to move. Such terrifying combat strength made them suck in a breath of cold air. Gradually, they began to believe that Yun was capable of killing two super powerful Supremes. Otherwise, how could he shatter the barrier with a single stomp and send Supreme Heavenly Thunder flying with a single slap? The Supremes who originally wanted to join hands with Heavenly Thunder Supremacy to deal with Yun, upon seeing this scene, felt as if their legs were nailed to the air, not daring to move even half a step. This level of power was terrifying to even feel. He was well aware of Sovereign Heavenly Thunder's situation. If even Heavenly Thunder Supreme couldn't withstand a single move, would he be able to withstand it? Break again. Yun stomped down again. Since no one attacked him, he continued to stomp on the ground. He stomped forward step by step, creating a huge pit in the ground. According to this situation, it wouldn't be long before the entire Thunder Clan would be completely flattened. Hurry! Hurry up and activate the Divine Seal Array. The remaining Supremes shouted. They could only use their trump card. Very quickly, after it was activated, the ground began to explode with flashes of light. Soon, countless light swords rose from the ground and rapidly attacked Yun. It's the Divine Seal Array, the most famous array of the Thunder Clan. That's right. Once the Divine Seal Array is activated, I heard that not only can it seal gods, but it can also kill gods. The Thunder Clan isn't so easily annihilated. That's right. I heard that this array has even killed a late-stage Supreme Heavenly Star Realm powerhouse. I wonder if he can withstand it. If he can withstand it, the Thunder Clan will probably be finished. When everyone saw this array, they immediately recalled what it was. This was a very famous divine array of the Thunder Clan. It was also a great array that was meticulously set up by the various Supremes. Including the previous protective array, they were all used to deal with enemies. Now that it had been activated, if it still didn't have any effect, then everything would really be over. These were the trump cards of the Thunder Clan. If they released all of them, if Yun wasn't annihilated, then it would be their turn to be annihilated. Just a last-ditch struggle. Yun's gaze turned cold. His eyes were full of disdain as he faced so many swords shooting towards him. Even though these swords contained a terrifying power of thunder, they were still trash in his eyes. If the Thunder Supremes were personally controlling it, perhaps he would be a little apprehensive. However, now that it was a group of divine, star venerates with ordinary cultivation, this great array was trash to him. Swish, swish, swish. Countless lightning light swords shot over. Yun continued to take a step forward and stomped down heavily. The lightning light swords that shot over were trampled to pieces. Then he stomped down on the ground again. Boom! The earth shook and the mountains shook. The Divine Seal Array actually showed signs of collapsing. How is this possible? Everyone was dumbfounded. With another stomp, this legendary Divine Seal Array was actually about to collapse. As for those so-called light swords that could kill late-stage Heavenly Star Supremes, they didn't have any effect at all. When some of them hit Yun, they merely left faint marks on his body and didn't cause him any harm. Forget about the fact that they didn't cause any harm. They also couldn't stop Yun's advancing footwork. He pushed forward ferociously, and no one could stop him. Dong, dong, dong. Yun stomped all the way, and the Divine Seal Array was half destroyed just like that. Now, only a little bit of the light swords that were released were left. They looked rather weak and didn't have the imposing manner they had before. It's over, it's over. The remaining Supremes turned pale. They couldn't resist Yun's attacks at all. Now, they looked even more desperate. If this continued, the Thunder Clan would definitely be finished. We surrender. We admit defeat. The Supremes shouted and began to beg for mercy. If they didn't beg for mercy, the Thunder Clan wouldn't even have dregs left. Yun turned a deaf ear to him and continued walking forward step by step. In just a short while, a large area of the Thunder Clan had been destroyed. We will compensate you. No matter what you want, we will compensate you. That Supremes were on the verge of crying. Onion acted as if he didn't hear anything and continued walking forward. Onion still ignored him and continued walking forward. He said he would flatten the Thunder Clan, and he meant it. He didn't say a single word of falsehood. All the disciples of the Thunder Clan were in despair. Only now did they know what kind of existence they had provoked. They didn't expect that everything was real. With Onion's ability, he could really eliminate their clan leader. An early-stage Heavenly Star supremacy powerhouse could actually eliminate a late-stage powerhouse. Thinking about it carefully, they had really provoked an extremely terrifying existence. Chapter 2379. The Thunder family was filled with regret, but there was no medicine for regret in this world. No matter how they shouted, Onion didn't stop his attacks. Under the frenzied attacks, more than half of the Thunder family was flattened, and there were countless casualties. The remaining supremacy stared at Onion with red eyes. After a moment, he roared, "I'll fight it out with you." However, Onion's attack didn't change anything. Onion punched the Supreme Master and continued to destroy the Lightning family. Now, the Thunder family only had a few divine star venerates left. They had no way of resisting. Those who wanted to live could only choose to escape this area. Otherwise, they would die. Onion didn't care about those who fled. He just swept through them. Those who could survive depended on their own ability. He couldn't kill them all. Those who couldn't escape had nothing to do with him. Zijin Long and Wu Yuanan had arrived long ago. When they saw this scene, they were equally shocked. They were filled with emotion. Such a big family, one of the top 10 families, was gone just like that. Onion's methods were equally ruthless. If he said he would destroy them, he would destroy them. However, they admired Onion's methods. When it was time to be ruthless, one had to be ruthless. Previously, he said that if they didn't hand it over, he would definitely flatten the Thunder family. The Thunder family didn't take it seriously, but this was the result. They had to pay the price. It's over. It's completely over. The Thunder family is finished. One of the top 10 families is finished just like that. I didn't expect it. He didn't even need to rely on the Purple Yin race or the Wu family to flatten the Thunder family. It's really terrifying. Their hearts trembled. At first, they thought that Onion couldn't deal with them alone. Now, it seemed like they were wrong. According to this situation, the Beifeng clan would probably be in danger. It seems like the Beifeng family is finished too. The two families are in a similar situation. I wonder if the Beifeng family can make it in time to come and beg for mercy. It should be in time, but we can only compensate them a little more. If he doesn't need any compensation and continues to raise the Beifeng family to the ground, that would truly be too terrifying. When they thought of the Beifeng clan, they shook their heads. From today onwards, the Leitang clan would be removed from the list. The surviving disciples were basically unable to stir up any waves. They had no foundation and no experts, so they could only disperse. Even if they hated Onion, they would bury it in their hearts, not daring to show it. It's over. Everyone closed their eyes. With the final stomp, the Leitang clan was completely flattened. As far as the eye could see, a large area had been reduced to ruins. Not a single good house remained, having been razed to the ground. This was complete annihilation, and it made one's hair stand on end. The Thunder Clan had provoked someone they should not have provoked, and the price they had to pay was complete destruction. The Beifeng clan hasn't arrived yet. Onion scanned the surroundings. The Beifeng clan didn't send anyone over to take a look. As for begging for mercy, there was no one at all. It was very obvious that the Beifeng clan was still very strong-willed, as if they were not worried that Onion would attack. Interesting. It seems that the Beifeng clan is also a tough nut to crack. Onion's expression was indifferent. This was somewhat out of his expectations. He thought that when the Beifeng clan saw this situation, they would choose to come over and beg for mercy. After all, the two clan situations were similar. Now that the Beifeng clan didn't come over, it proved that they definitely had some trump card that they hadn't used. Otherwise, how could they be so calm? Not only him, but the others also sensed it. According to this situation, the Beifeng clan wouldn't come over. In this situation, they still didn't come over. One had to say that the Bay Phone clan was really courageous. The Bay Phone clan didn't come over. Are they really not afraid of him? Maybe they also don't have the confidence. They would rather die than submit. Rather die than submit? If that's the case, then they're really amazing. They would rather sacrifice everything than compromise. They either thought that the Bay Phone clan had the confidence, or that the Bay Phone clan would rather die than submit. No matter which one it was, there would definitely be a good show to watch. After Tianyin annihilated the Thunder Clan, he plundered all the Thunder Clan's resources, leaving nothing behind. Many of them were destroyed by him, but he didn't feel that it was a pity. He wanted to establish his prestige here. He wanted to let all the forces know that he would do what he said. As for what he wasted, he didn't care at all. Guest is really amazing. It seems like he's even stronger than before. The purple gold dragon flew down and said with a smile, "No wonder he didn't need our help. Just his strength alone is really shocking. Even I can't destroy that shield so easily." Yeah, it's only been a while, but I feel that he has become much stronger. His cultivation hasn't changed, but his strength has increased. He is really a genius. Even the hidden dragon sovereign for back then. With your cultivation, I'm afraid he wasn't as strong, right? Wu Yuanan also flew over and said with a smile, "I don't dare to accept that." Tianyin smiled and then said with a straight face, "Now that the Bay Phone clan hasn't come over to bow their heads and admit their mistakes, I don't mind flattening the Bay Phone clan either. Guesty, I'm afraid there's something fishy about this." Logically, they are like the Thunder Clan, an arrow at the end of its flight. They can't raise any waves. Seeing you come over with such a lineup, they should come over to beg for mercy. But they didn't come over. There might be an ambush over there. The purple gold dragon's face also turned serious. "Why don't we go over together to support you and deal with the Bay Phone clan together?" Yeah, there must be something fishy about this. Maybe there really are many ambushes. Wu Yuanan agreed with the purple gold dragon and felt that there must be something wrong. No matter what kind of ambush it is, I will go. Tianyin's eyes were filled with killing intent. I want to see what kind of ambush is over there. No matter what kind of ambush it is, I will break it. Tianyin really wanted to see what kind of confidence the Bay Phone clan had to dare to do this. The two of them looked at each other. It seemed that Tianyin was determined to go meet the Bay Phone clan alone. If that's the case, then we won't say anything more. I hope you'll be careful. The purple gold dragon and the others nodded heavily. Tianyin cupped his fists at them and turned to fly over to the Bay Phone clan. The others followed him. How could they miss such a big event? They all wanted to see if the Bay Phone clan had the confidence, or if Tianyin could destroy the Bay Phone clan. Chapter 2380. A large group of cultivators followed behind Tianyin. This group of people flew towards the Bay Phone clan in a mighty manner. Those who didn't know would think that this army was going to attack a big clan. After all, from a distance, it looked like a large group of cultivators were flying forward. There were all kinds of cultivations. If this group of forces really swept over, they would really sweep away many forces. Just the Purple Flame clan and the Wu family's Heavenly Star supremacy could suppress many forces. Soon, Tianyin killed his way to the Bay Phone clan's area. The Bay Phone clan, like the Leitain clan, surrounded themselves tightly with a shield. It was just that on the surface, it looked very calm as if nothing had happened. It was quite strange. Looking from the outside, there was no one in the houses below, which seemed even more strange. No one. Tianyin scanned around and didn't feel the slightest aura. There wasn't a single trace of a single person in this large area. This situation made them all stunned. How could there not even be a shadow? It could even be said that there was not even half a guard, and people could enter and exit the gate at will. As it wasn't completely sealed, there was only a passage left to enter without destroying the array. Tianyin didn't think too much. He lifted his feet and walked into the passage, wanting to find out what was going on inside. The others didn't dare to follow him in. Who knew if the Bay Phone clan had some conspiracy inside? Moreover, this was Tianyin's matter, so they wouldn't intervene. After Tianyin entered, He scanned the area and really didn't find anyone here. Did they abandon the clan and evacuate? Etianyan was a little dumbfounded. This kind of behavior was understandable, but it was too much to abandon the clan's foundation. They would rather abandon the clan's foundation than pay the price? Etianyan admitted that he made them pay a higher price, but overall, it was better than uprooting their clan's land. Overall, the situation was still acceptable. Now, there was no trace of anyone, and the clan's foundation was abandoned. Under normal circumstances, there were quite a few special training grounds here, which were quite good. Moreover, this area was originally a treasured land of feng shui. It gathered the surging star power from all around, and cultivating here was much better than cultivating outside. These weren't things that could be easily taken away. They couldn't be taken away even if they wanted to. But now, half of them were gone, which made them feel very strange. They wondered if they had encountered some problem. This is the Bei Feng family's confidence. They all ran away. This is really a waste of my expression. I thought there would be a big battle. Who knew that they would all retreat? This is too funny. This is completely out of our expectations. The cultivators who came did not expect such a situation to occur. In their minds, they imagined many possible scenarios, such as Etianyan destroying the Beifeng clan, or the Beifeng clan annihilating Etianyan. They had even considered the possibility of both sides suffering heavy losses. But they never imagined that the Beifeng clan would disappear and flee. After all, the Beifeng clan was one of the 10 great clans. If they fled just like that, wouldn't they care about their reputation? There's no need to look for them. The Beifeng clan has become a dog of the Divine O clan. At that moment, a man suddenly appeared on top of a palace at the side. He kept playing with a dagger in his hand and smiled wickedly. He looked at Etianyan with a frivolous expression. Etianyan turned to look at him, and his eyes narrowed. This guy hid his aura very well. He didn't notice him when he was scouting outside, just now. When he came in, he realized that someone was waiting there. However, before he could say anything, the other party had already walked out. Divine O clan. Etianyan knew what kind of clan the Divine O clan was. It was one of the top 3 clans. To be precise, it was the second clan. There were many Heavenly Star Supremes, and they usually didn't get involved in other matters. Many people were surprised that the Beifeng clan had joined the Divine O clan. How could such a big clan join the Divine O clan just like that? Even though 2 of the Beifeng clan Supremes were killed, they were still the Beifeng clan. If they continued to decline and join another clan, they would be like a dog. After all, joining someone else's force usually meant that one's future would be very limited. This was especially so when they used to be on equal footing, but now they would become a subordinate. However, the Beifeng clan had joined just like that, and the Divine O clan had also sent an expert over as a gesture. The man in front of them had a very strong cultivation. He was a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremes and was much stronger than ordinary Heavenly Star Supremes. From the looks of it, he seemed to be using a concealment technique that allowed him to easily conceal himself. Yes, I'm from the Divine O clan. Zhong Exen straightened his body and said indifferently, "This matter ends here. You can do whatever you want in this area. As for the Beifeng clan's matters, it's none of your business." This treasured land was pretty good. If he occupied it, he could slowly build his own force. The facilities here were rather complete and could be used easily. This would save him a lot of time. On what basis? Etianyan did not buy it. If he really wanted this piece of land, he would flatten the Thunder Clan. He wanted an explanation. On what basis? On the basis of our Divine O clan. Zhong Exan leaned forward slightly and sneered. What do you think? Do you want to make a move on the Divine O clan? He smiled, revealing his pearly white teeth, but it was a chilling sight. The Divine O clan definitely had their own capabilities to be the second largest clan. Not to mention the 9-star Supremes, they had quite a few late-stage Heavenly Star Supremes. Nobody knew how much power they had. After everyone saw that it was the Divine O clan who interfered, they shook their heads and felt that this matter would not go on. Zi Jinlong and the others passed through the passage and came in. They did not look too good either. They did not expect the Divine O clan to choose to interfere. I admit that the Divine O clan is not bad, but I'll say this. Either the Divine O clan hand over the Bay Phone clan to me, or I'll flatten the Divine O clan like the Thunder clan. Etienne's eyes were cold. What bullish asterisk T Divine O clan? As long as they stood in his way, he would flatten them all. Everyone was dumbfounded by his imposing manner. This was the Divine O clan, not an ordinary clan. Etienne actually dared to declare war on the Divine O clan. Was he not courting death? Chapter 2381. Everyone thought that Etienne would choose to admit defeat and not pursue the matter with the Bayphone clan. After all, the Divine O clan had chosen to protect the Bayphone clan. If he continued to pursue the matter, it would be tantamount to going against the Divine O clan. This wasn't a simple matter. Given how powerful the Divine O clan was, nobody knew the details of the situation. What was recorded outside was only superficial information. The fact that they could remain standing here for so long meant that they had their own capabilities. Under such circumstances, it would be irrational to have a conflict with the Divine O clan. However, Etienne still dared to do such an irrational thing, and he even declared war on the Divine O clan. Ha! You're indeed a tough nut to crack. I heard that you killed the clan masters of 2 great clans. You're so young, and your cultivation level is not high, but you were able to kill people above your level. I don't know how they were so trashy that they couldn't even deal with a kid like you. Zhong Xian sized him up disdainfully. But thanks to you, they were so scared that they immediately pledged allegiance to us and agreed to any conditions. You've saved us a lot of trouble. Now, you're declaring war on the Divine O clan. Are you sure you want to do this? Zhong Xian stood up and gently played with the dagger in his hand. He spun in the air with a murderous look in his eyes. I've said it before. If the Divine O clan doesn't hand over the Bayphone clan, I'll flatten all of you. Etienne had a cold look in his eyes. Regardless of which clan it was, nobody could stop him now. He had always been a vengeful person. Since the Bayphone clan was hiding, he would drag the Bayphone clan out. He would let the entire Hidden Dragon planet know what kind of existence he was. If he retreated in front of the Divine O clan, it would certainly have a huge impact on him. Besides, what was there to be afraid of? If he couldn't win, he could just run away. It was that simple. He didn't think that he couldn't defeat the Divine O clan. Regardless of their background or great clans, he would still flatten them. Zi Jinlong and Wu Yuanan looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. At first, they didn't come down to persuade Etienne. They just wanted to see what Etienne would do. After all, they wouldn't change what Etienne had decided on. Now, they were at loggerheads with the Divine O clan. This was truly shocking, but it was within their expectations. Etienne wasn't afraid of the 2 great clans, so why would he be afraid of the Divine O clan? It was just that the Divine O clan was indeed powerful, and they were fully aware of how powerful the Divine O clan was. Why didn't the Divine O clan join the other great clans? Why didn't they snatch the purple divine crystals from the purple flame race? The reason was obvious. The Divine O clan probably had similar resources. As long as there were suitable resources for him, he wouldn't be interested in the purple divine crystals of the purple flame race. No matter what, having a crystal stone that matched one's own attribute was the best choice. The purple divine crystal was basically used by the purple flame race or some ice attribute cultivators, as its effects were the best. The Divine O clan didn't cultivate the ice attribute, but the light attribute. It was not that the 2 attributes were incompatible, but their compatibility was not very good. They would not settle for second best. You got guts, huh? Zhong Xindao jumped down from the palace and said indifferently, "It seems like you think that you're the strongest just because you killed 2 pieces of trash. You're not even afraid of the Divine O clan? You killed them with the help of the Purple Flame race and the Wu clan. What's the matter now? Are the Purple Flame race and the Wu clan going to join us?" Zhong Xindao was like the other cultivators. He didn't believe that Etienne could kill 2 veteran supremes, especially when he was only at the early phase. However, he didn't know what method Tianyan used to successfully sneak an attack on the veteran Supremes. The purple gold dragon and Wu Yuanan looked indifferent and looked at Tianyan. This would depend on Guesty. If he's willing, we can attack together. The purple gold dragon chose to support Tianyan. Wu Yuanan and Tianyan chose to support Tianyan. They had supported Tianyan previously, and they were no exception now, even if the other party was the Divine O clan. They had witnessed Tianyan's power and felt that supporting Tianyan was the right thing to do. Zhong Xindao's eyes darkened. He didn't expect that the patriarchs of these two great clans would choose to support the hothead Tianyan. Do they not respect the Divine O clan? It could be said that even if the Purple Flame race and the Wu clan joined forces, they might not be able to deal with the Divine O clan. However, the fact that these two clans supported Tianyan surprised him. What kind of magic did Tianyan have to make them support him so much? According to the description of the remaining disciples of the North Peak clan, Tianyan was capable, but he relied on the Purple Flame race and the Wu clan to kill the North Peak Supremes. That was the reason why Zhong Xian thought so. Thank you, both of you. I can do it myself. I've always been a loner, and my actions have nothing to do with them. They're my own actions. Tianyan wouldn't drag these two clans into this. He could handle it himself. Moreover, they didn't need to make a move in the first place. He stared at Zhong Xindao and said, "It seems like you've been completely deceived by the North Peak clan. I'm relying on these two clans to deal with you." If you really want to put it that way, you can think of it that way. However, I kill both of them. I think they're doing this to kill me with a borrowed knife. They want to use the Divine O clan to deal with me. That's quite a big move. They'd rather rely on the Divine O clan as a dog than to give up resources. It seems like they really want revenge. Tianyan roughly understood what was going on. It was obvious that the North Peak clan was deceiving him and wanted to kill him with a borrowed knife. The North Peak clan definitely didn't want the Thunder clan to be destroyed, but they also didn't want to let Tianyan off. Hence, they came up with this plan. No matter what the outcome is, the North Peak clan has joined the Divine O clan. If they want to deal with them, they have to deal with us first. Zhong Xindao was starting to believe him. After thinking about it carefully, perhaps it was as Tianyan had said. They wanted to kill him with a borrowed knife. However, since the North Peak clan had joined them, they had to choose to protect them. In that case, I'll deal with the Divine O clan first. When the time comes, I'll destroy the North Peak clan. Tianyan's eyes were extremely cold. How dare they kill me with a borrowed knife? If I don't destroy them, it'll be hard to quench my anger. Tianyan was furious. Since these guys were so ruthless, they couldn't blame him for being even more ruthless. The outcome of provoking him wouldn't be as simple as being destroyed. Chapter 2382. It did not matter what the Beifeng clan was thinking, whether they were using someone else to do their dirty work or not. Now that he had joined the Divine O clan and signed an oath, it was impossible for him to break it. Under such circumstances, the Beifeng clan was equivalent to the Divine O clan. Hence, Zhong Xian had to protect the Beifeng clan no matter what. Hence, Zhong Xian ignored Tianyan's words and intercepted him. After Zhong Xian finished speaking, his figure flashed and disappeared into the void. His figure completely disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. That Supreme Concealed God's lost technique. Supreme Concealed God's concealment technique is top-notch. He often kills people without them noticing. If you're not careful, you'll be ambushed. He's in trouble now. Sovereign Concealed Spirit is much stronger than the other Supremes. Compared to the Lightning Supremacy, he's even stronger. Zhong Xian was his real name. He was also known as Supreme Concealed God. He was extremely good at concealing himself. Even opponents of the same level as him could not detect him. They would only notice him when he was close to them. Under such a cultivation state, if they were close to him, they would be at a disadvantage in a fight. If they were not careful, they would be attacked. Z Gold Dragon and the others focused their gazes and quickly looked around to help find Zhong Xian's position. After scanning for a while, they realized that their spiritual senses could not detect Zhong Xian's position at all. If it was so easy to detect him, Zhong Xian would not be called Supreme Conceal God. It possessed an extremely powerful concealment ability. This was his strongest move. This is troublesome. Z Gold Dragon and the others' faces darkened. Although he would not attack them, they were worried that Tianyun would not be able to withstand it. Tianyun was not weak. However, against such a concealment technique, it was hard to say what would happen if he launched a sneak attack. Tianyun's expression was calm. He was not worried about the concealed Supreme Conceal God at all. Just when everyone thought that Tianyun was completely in a passive state, he suddenly moved and kicked forward fiercely. The void trembled, and an arc of light burst out and landed in front of him. Boom! Accompanied by a loud sound, a figure was sent flying. It crashed into dozens of palaces before stopping. Crash! A ray of light rushed out, and Zhong Xian's battered and exhausted figure flew out. Zhong Xian was in an extremely sorry state. That kick had caved in his abdomen, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. It was obvious that he had suffered serious injuries. Zhong Xian was more shocked than anything else. He did not expect that even though he had concealed himself, he would still be found by the other party. Moreover, he was found so accurately. Zhong Xian was not the only one who was shocked. Even the others were dumbstruck when they saw this scene. This was a concealed spirit supremacy. Most of the time, her figure would only be exposed when she attacked first, instead of being found by Tianyun. Now Tianyun had found him and sent him flying with a kick. Under normal circumstances, when experts fought, they would want nothing more than to kill their opponent with a single move. Tianyun didn't do that. If he had used a weapon, Zhong Xian would have been seriously injured. Who knew that Tianyun would choose to attack normally instead of doing so? Under such circumstances, it was either a fluke or he had really found Zhong Xian's figure. Did he really see me, or was it a fluke? I'm afraid it was a fluke, or he sensed it based on some sort of intuition. Otherwise, how could he have launched such a simple attack? Can a fluke be so accurate? We can only wait and see if he can hit again next time. They did not believe that Tianyun could accurately find Zhong Xian's position. There were so many people present, but none of them could sense Zhong Xian's position. They really did not believe that Tianyun could find him. In their opinion, Zhong Xian had only vaguely sensed Zhong Xian's position, and it was only because Zhong Xian had been careless that he had been hit. It was not only them. Zhong Xian also did not believe that Tianyun could find his position. He was quite confident in his concealment ability. With this ability, he would not dare to say that he was the strongest among the heavenly star supremacies, but at least no one would dare to provoke him. I don't believe that you can still find me. Zhong Xian's figure disappeared again. This time, it seemed to be more effective than before. He completely disappeared from sight, as if he had really disappeared. If it were any other heavenly star supremacies, they would have launched a frenzied attack in order to blast Zhong Xian's position out. Actually, this method was quite stupid. Unless it was an extremely heaven-defying attack, it would be self-defeating. Fierce attacks would only make Zhong Xian hide even deeper. Otherwise, if he could force him out with just a casual attack, he would not be a concealed spirit supremacy. Tianyun swept his gaze across, and the corners of his mouth curled into a disdainful smile. Zhong Xian's figure had nowhere to hide in front of him. Concealed spirit supremacy? He was completely exposed under the probing eye. This extremely powerful move in the eyes of others was just trash in front of him. He could still see Zhong Xian cautiously approaching him. His eyes were like the eyes of an eagle, closely watching his every move. As long as he made a move, Zhong Xian would immediately choose to dodge. This situation looked somewhat comical. Unfortunately, he was the only one who could see it. The others could only foolishly look around, unable to see anything. Tianyun remained motionless and just watched in front of him. Zhong Xian quickly circled to his side. Then, just as he was about to reach him, he suddenly attacked. The dagger in his hand stabbed straight at him. However, it was not aimed at his head, but at his body. Zhong Xian did not want to kill him so quickly. He wanted to play around and vent his anger first. Unexpectedly, at the same time he rushed over, Yi Tianyun also moved. His body pressed down, and the nine-color dragon power condensed on his feet. He flipped over and suddenly stomped on the ground. With a boom, an extremely violent stomp pressed down. Following that, Zhong Xian's figure was once again sent flying. After continuously smashing through dozens of palaces, he barely managed to stop. The damage this time was even more powerful than before. He hit me again? They were dumbfounded. If the first time was a fluke, then what about the second time? If they still believed that it was a fluke, then they would really be fools. Crash! Cough, cough, cough. Zhong Xian flew up, coughing continuously, and coughed up quite a lot of blood. This kick had caused quite a lot of damage to him. However, he did not die. He was only injured, and he could still move. You're quite durable. Please continue your performance. Yi Tianyun extended his hand, indicating for him to continue hiding. There was a faint smile on his face, but in the eyes of the others, they felt a chill in their hearts. Chapter 2383. Yi Tianyun can be said to be invincible, this kind of concealment ability, unless one is strong enough to defy the heavens. Otherwise, there is no way to hide in front of him. Zhong Xian's concealment ability was not bad, but it was clearly not beyond what he could accept. Zhong Xian was shocked to the extreme. He had not expected Yi Tianyun to be able to see through his actions. His strongest killing move was this concealment ability. Now that he had lost it, how could he fight? It could be said that without this concealment ability, his battle strength would be reduced by at least half. He had always been focusing on this ability. Once this ability lost its corresponding effect, it would end in failure. He was too obsessed with this concealment ability. In his opinion, as long as his opponent could not detect him, he would definitely be in a position of absolute victory. But once he was seen through, it would all be over. It was just that all along, no one had been able to see through his ability. Now that it had been seen through by Yi Tianyun, he found it hard to accept. Facing so many late-stage Heavenly Star Supremes, he could not say that he could completely deceive them, but he could at least get close without them discovering him. Only when he was attacking would he be discovered. But by the time his opponent discovered him, the attacks would already be upon him, and he could only hurriedly block. This was one of his advantages. Even if his opponent discovered him, he could only hurriedly block. In most battles, he could gain the upper hand. At most, it would end in a draw. He would not be completely crushed like this. I don't believe it. Zhong Xian roared angrily. He once again concealed himself in the surroundings and then stealthily approached Yi Tianyun. He suspected that when he attacked, his aura had been slightly exposed. That was why this situation had occurred. This time, he decided to conceal everything perfectly. Very soon, he arrived in front of Yi Tianyun. This time, he would not attack like before. Instead, he would use a relatively ordinary attack to deal with Yi Tianyun. In this state, there was basically no possibility of his aura being exposed. He was purely using his physical body to attack. It might not be the most powerful, but it was definitely the safest move he had ever used. The fist is coming towards Yi Tianyun's head. If it's a heavy punch, it may not be able to break Yi Tianyun's head, but at least he can humiliate Yi Tianyun and get back at him. Just as the fist was about to hit, Zhong Xian revealed a mocking and complacent smile. It's just as I guessed. His sensing ability is too strong. As long as I don't release any aura, he definitely won't be able to discover me. Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and grabbed his fist. Yi Tianyun's fist was actually caught by his fist. After grabbing his fist, Zhong Xian's figure was exposed in front of everyone. As long as he touched it, the concealment ability would disappear. You want to defeat me with these tricks? Yi Tianyun sneered. Zhong Xian was stunned. He did not expect that he would be seen through. Before he could react, Yi Tianyun dragged him over and smashed him to the ground. Boom! An extremely violent and ferocious throw smashed Zhong Xian ruthlessly into the ground, creating an incomparably large and deep pit. This time, Zhong Xian was seriously injured from the fall. All the bones in his body had been shattered, and his internal organs had been smashed into liquid. Only his head could still be used. Everyone was dumbfounded. In the past, it was the concealed spirit supreme who played tricks on others. Now, he was easily dealt with by Tianyan. Any concealment ability was useless in front of Tianyan. He was easily defeated. After being smashed, Tianyan grabbed Zhong Xian's head and lifted it up. He wanted to search his soul. He wanted to see how strong the divine O clan was. Zhong Xian was seriously injured, and his soul was injured. He could not resist, even if he wanted to. Thus, he easily searched through his memories, allowing him to know the general situation of the divine O clan. You can search my memories. If you kill me, you will definitely be hunted down by the divine O clan. Zhong Xian's consciousness was a little fuzzy. He did not intend to compromise. Your divine O clan is indeed quite capable, but that's all. Tianyan ignored Zhong Xian's threat. He crushed his head and ended his life. Everyone gasped. He killed just like that. He was really merciless. This time, he was really at odds with the divine O clan. The divine O clan had such a strong foundation. Nobody knew how Tianyan would deal with it. Jinlong and the others looked at each other. They felt that Tianyan had become much stronger. Why did he feel that his strength was increasing at a rapid pace? He was much faster than them. This was especially true for the famous concealed spirit supreme who had been defeated so easily. Back then, concealed spirit supreme was famous. Most heavenly star supremes did not dare to fight against him. He was often nowhere to be seen, and it was very difficult to deal with him. Most of them were on the defensive, so they were quite passive. Now that he was facing Tianyan, concealed spirit supreme was in a very passive position. He was in a rather sorry state. It could be said that this battle was the battle that ended the legend of concealed spirit supreme. Tianyan tossed Zhong Xian's corpse to the side. He walked over to Jinlong and said calmly, "Z-clan head, sorcerer clan head, I will now head to the divine O clan. Since they want to protect the Beifeng clan, I will flatten them as well. I hope that the two of you will not interfere. Let me handle everything." In the past, when he said these words, others would definitely think that Tianyan was boasting. Now that he saw Tianyan easily crush Zhong Xian, they felt that he was really going to deal with the divine O clan. If he could easily kill a late-stage Heavenly Star Supremes, wouldn't the other Heavenly Star Supremes be trash to Tianyan? All right then. If there's a need, just say the word. Jinlong and the others nodded their heads. Their expressions were very serious. Even though Tianyan had an easy time in this battle, the divine O clan could not be underestimated. After all, the other party was too powerful. They had to take it seriously. Shortly after, Tianyan did not even need a rest. He flew toward the divine O clan. The other cultivators looked at each other and followed him. They felt that this was too surreal. First, he flattened the Thunder clan, then he killed Concealed Spirit Supreme, and now he was going to kill his way to the divine O clan. In the past, who would have dared to do this? When they heard the divine O clan's name, they would be so scared that they would retreat, let alone attack the divine O clan alone. Regardless of whether he succeeded or failed, Tianyan definitely became famous on Hidden Dragon Planet. Chapter 2384. After Tianyan gave instructions to Jinlong and the rest, he quickly flew towards the divine O clan. The divine O clan was not far from here, and it only took him half a day to reach. A group of cultivators followed him majestically. Initially, there were not many cultivators who followed him to watch, but as they flew, the number increased. After all, many cultivators were frightened by the sight of so many cultivators flying in front of them. How could they miss this opportunity when they found out that Tianyan was going to deal with the divine O clan? They wanted to see how Tianyin was going to deal with the Divine O clan. Most of the people who had not seen Tianyin fight felt that he was overestimating himself. Shaking the Divine O clan by himself was like an ant trying to shake a tree. He was overestimating himself. Those who had seen Tianyin fight did not feel that he was overestimating himself. They only felt that there was a chance. The strength of the Divine O clan was deeply rooted. It did not mean that Tianyin could flatten the Divine O clan just by defeating a concealed Spirit Supreme. Now that the North Peak clan had joined the Divine O clan, it meant that there would be more Supremes. It would be horrifying if they attacked together. Facing two great forces by himself, the odds of him winning were not high. They only wanted to witness how badly Tianyin could injure the Divine O clan. They did not really think that he could flatten the Divine O clan. Facing two great forces by himself? What a joke. Very soon, Tianyin arrived in front of the Divine O clan. The area occupied by the Divine O clan was much larger than that of the other clans. With a huge shield in front of them, the Divine O clan was far superior to the other clans in terms of both scale and effect. The Divine O clan was indeed worthy of being ranked second. The resources they possessed were not something that the other clans could compare to. As soon as he arrived, several figures flew out from inside, each of them emanating an astonishing aura. Without a doubt, the ones who flew out were the Supremes of the Divine O clan. The Supremes of the North Peak clan also flew out one after another. The Supremes of the North Peak clan glared at him. If it had not been for Tianyin, they would not have chosen to join the Divine O clan. As far as they were concerned, this was a great humiliation, but they were willing to endure such humiliation to kill Tianyin. Since they couldn't kill Tianyin, the Divine O clan should be able to, right? The Divine O clan truly lives up to its reputation. Tianyin swept his gaze over the 8 Supremes. Among them, 5 were from the Divine O clan, while the other 3 were from the North Peak clan. The Bayphone clan also had quite a number of Supremes. Including the ones that were killed previously, there were 5. Even though their cultivations were only at the early and middle stages, they were still Supreme Being cultivators. The 5 Supremes of the Divine O clan were formidable. 2 of them were advanced stage Supremes, while the other 3 were intermediate stage Supremes. If Sovereign Concealed Spirit was included, then there would be 6 sovereigns in total, and 3 of them were at the advanced stage. One had to admit that they were truly formidable. However, this was all within the scope of Tianyin's knowledge. He had already known the details of the situation here from Supreme Being Concealed Spirit's memories. Regardless of what trump cards they had, Yangming was well aware of them, as they were completely exposed in front of him. It could be said that he was well aware of what killer moves they would use. This was probably something that they didn't expect. They thought that they had many trump cards, but they didn't know that Tianyin already knew about them. Searching one's soul was truly a good thing. In particular, one would be able to know everything if they searched those with relatively high statuses. Only by knowing one's enemy and oneself could one emerge victorious in every battle. It was precisely by searching one's soul that he was more confident in dealing with the Divine O clan. If the Divine O clan had a 9-star supremacy or something like that, he would have chosen to turn around and leave instead of coming to the Divine O clan. Even if he knew that the Divine O clan didn't have a 9-star supremacy, it wouldn't be a big problem for him. I didn't expect you to be able to kill even Supreme Concealed Spirit. The leader of the group was the Divine O clan's clan leader, 9 Cloud Supreme. His deep eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. If you hadn't chosen to protect the Bayphone clan, you wouldn't have suffered such a loss. Tianyin looked at the Bayphone clan's supremacy and said indifferently, "You guys are quite capable. You'd rather become the Divine O clan's dogs than hand over the resources. This method of killing with a borrowed knife isn't bad, but the price is a little high. What we do is our own business. We are now part of the Divine O clan, so don't talk nonsense." Supreme Brightmoon's eyes were about to spew fire. She wanted to devour Yangming's flesh to relieve the anger in her heart. "Oh, Do you think they will admit that you are part of the divine, O clan? A dog is a dog, not a part of it. Onion shook his head and looked at Nine Cloud Supreme. Nine Cloud Supreme, what do you think? Make an oath and join us. You can do whatever you want of the Bayphone clan. How about that? Nine Cloud Supreme suddenly laughed. His attitude was much better than when he treated Supreme Bright Moon and the others. Supreme Bright Moon and the others were stunned, and their expressions froze. They looked at Nine Cloud Supreme in disbelief and said, Nine Cloud Supreme, this is different from what we agreed on. They didn't expect to be given up so easily. Did this mean that the Bayphone clan wasn't as good as Onion? He gave up just like that without any hesitation. There's nothing different about what we agreed on. Before you joined us, you made an oath that everything would be managed by the divine, O clan. I'm not breaking any oath by doing this. Nine Cloud Supreme smiled, but his smile was terrifying. Jinlong and the others shook their heads. If there was value in joining a clan, they could take it seriously. However, compared to Onion, the Bayphone clan was undoubtedly more valuable to Onion. If Onion joined the Divine O clan, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. However, Nine Cloud Supreme was really willing to do this. Onion had already killed Supreme Concealed Spirit. How could he let go of his anger to recruit him? If he hadn't killed Supreme Concealed Spirit, it would have been normal for him to say this. However, now that he had killed Supreme Concealed Spirit, he still had such thoughts. No one knew if he had other intentions, or if he was trying to lure the enemy. Ha, what a joke. Onion shook his head and looked at Supreme Bright Moon with a pitiful gaze. See, this is the difference between a dog and a dog. He can give up however he wants. Supreme Bright Moon's face turned pale. They couldn't refute him. Not only had they been slapped in the face by Onion, but they had also been slapped in the face by Nine Cloud Supreme. Nine Cloud Supreme probably only changed his mind after Onion defeated Supreme Concealed Spirit. Otherwise, Supreme Concealed Spirit would not have killed Onion and chosen to recruit him. What do you think? Nine Cloud Supreme waited for Onion's answer. Chapter 2387. My lord, you're going to open the Death's Gate? Kong Xingming and the others were shocked. They wondered if they had heard it wrong. Onion was going to open the Death's Gate? No matter how they looked at it, Onion didn't look like a member of the Death Clan. Even the inheritor of the five-color Emperor Dragon didn't have this kind of ability. If he really had this kind of ability, wouldn't he be fighting with the Death Clan? Yes, I'm going to open the Death's Gate so that we can get out. Onion explained with a smile. This is the method I mentioned and the reason why we rushed in. We can rush in directly and open the Death's Gate to get out. That's right. My lord, how did you open the Death's Gate? Kong Fengshen was very curious. He wanted to see how other people besides the Death Clan could open the Death's Gate. Even in the Death Clan, there were only 2 people who could open the Death's Gate, let alone other people. Apart from Kong Fengshen and Kong Xingming, the others couldn't open the Death Gate at all. One could imagine the difficulty. It's very simple. Just open it like this. Onion didn't continue to keep them in suspense. Twin Chlorine? Frank Nice? You still want to forgive me for my old charms? Fu Ping Fu. Na Kong Chu. Rose Tu Oz Zin Qin Bu Fu. As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his hand and pointed to the void. Actually, he was just putting on an act. Then, a crack appeared in the void in front of him, and the surging life aura came from it. Without a doubt, it was definitely the world outside the Death's Gate. Although they didn't know which area it was, at least it wasn't the Death area. They were all stunned. They didn't expect Onion to open the Death's Gate so easily. It was the first time they had seen something like this. Hurry up and go in. My Death's Gate can't hold for too long. Onion heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it wasn't like the Divine Jade token from before, which only allowed one person to pass. The Death's Door could allow people to pass through at will, but it didn't last long, only for a short while. A short while was enough for them to cross over. All right, let's go now. Kong Fengshen and the others didn't care about how Onion managed to open it. Each and every one of them quickly rushed inside. Some elders who were unable to move were lifted up and rushed inside the gate of death. At this moment, they heard dong 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 sounds. The vengeful spirits outside the barrier felt the rich life energy coming from the door of death. They all became crazy and wanted to break through the barrier and rush in. However, before they could rush in, Kong Fengshen and the others had already entered the death's door, leaving only Yi Tianyan outside. Just as he was about to step in, he suddenly felt a sharp gaze directed in his direction. When he turned his head to look, he found a relatively complete soul body standing outside the barrier staring at him. It was very different from other vengeful spirits. Not only did it have a complete body, but its eyes also had some divine light. The most terrifying thing was its cultivation, divine, star venerable. The soul of a divine, star venerable. He didn't expect to see the soul of a divine, star venerable before he was about to leave. Yi Tianyan immediately became vigilant, but he wasn't too worried. As long as he took a step forward, he could easily enter the death's door. Even a divine, star venerable wouldn't be able to stop him. However, this divine, star venerable soul didn't break the barrier. Instead, it looked at him from afar. It even suddenly smiled at him and opened its mouth to say something. No sound was transmitted. Yi Tianyan, however, read the meaning it wanted to express from its lips. I'll wait for you to come in again. Yi Tianyan was startled. Wait for me to come in again? What did that mean? He didn't think too much about it. To avoid future troubles, he quickly stepped into the death's door. God knew if this divine, star venerable soul would suddenly rush in. Anyway, it was best to leave first. After he entered, the death's door quickly closed. Everything was under his control. If he wanted to close it quickly, he could close it quickly. After it closed, the vengeful spirits surrounding this place finally broke through the barrier. Without the elders maintaining the barrier, they naturally broke through immediately. After breaking through, they madly burrowed their way over. However, there wasn't even half a figure. They could only circle around the side and leave. They didn't continue to stay. At the same time, that divine star venerable soul also disappeared, as if it had never been there. After passing through the death's door, Yi Tianyan returned to the outside world. The world they were teleported to was neither Scarlet Moon Planet nor Desolate Dragon Planet. It was a relatively barren area. No matter where it was, at least it wasn't inside the death's door. There were so many great star venerables here. No one could do anything to them, no matter where they were. We finally escaped. They were all greedily absorbing the life energy around them, as if they had survived a disaster. Staying inside without such life energy felt very uncomfortable. Now that they could escape, they felt that they were really lucky. They all thought they were dead. They didn't expect to come out alive. After sighing, they all focused their attention on Yi Tianyan. If it weren't for Yi Tianyan, how could they have escaped? Thank you for saving us, my lord. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid we would have died inside. Kong Fengshen's body swayed as he came in front of Yi Tianyan. He slowly knelt down on one knee and said respectfully, "Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Kong Fengshen, the leader of the Death Clan. I'm the descendant of the Death Divine General under the command of the five-colored Emperor Dragon." The others knelt down one after another. Even if they didn't know Yi Tianyan's character, he was worth trusting since he had saved them. Kong Xingming also knelt down. She no longer called Yi Tianyan young master. Ever since he showed his unique star Dharma idol, she knew she couldn't call him that anymore. "All of you, please get up." Yi Tianyan stretched out his hand and lifted them up. Everything went so smoothly. He thought they would be rejected, but it didn't seem that difficult at all. After all, it was too long ago. Besides, he was just an inheritor, not the real body. But he didn't expect it to be so easy. He had thought too much. It's really magical. I didn't expect you to really be able to open the gate of death. How did you do it? They were most curious about this. After all, it was exclusive to the Death Clan. Well, you have to pay a certain price to open it. Currently, I can only open it once. I don't know how long it will take to open it again. I guess I can never open it again. It's not something I'm good at. Yi Tianyan made up an excuse. He really didn't have the gate of death anymore. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.